Your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped and picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black Shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Hour one of Old School is sponsored by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yes, it is. Welcome in a Wednesday hump day edition of Old School here on The Ticket. Beautiful day in LNK, and we're with you for the next 3 hours, taking you through your drive home, picking the kids up from school, whatever it is. Maybe you're still sitting in your office at work, driving around for work, whatever it is. Appreciate you dialing up the show here today on a beautiful Wednesday. 402-464-5685 if you want to be a part of the show. Jay Foreman, a late scratch from this one. So filling in for now with me, Austin Oren, is Nick Wyman. It's like deja vu all over again.
It's not Tuesday, but yeah, a late scratch, a healthy scratch for Jay Foreman as he is out and about. Eric, I'm sure, is going to be in the chat any minute now. He's a staple, and yes, Jay is okay. You know, it's obviously just things come up in life, and I got called out of the bullpen, kind of like Steven Cruz today for the Royals, or Alex Lange, or
and how did that go?
And
poorly,
not great,
poorly.
I hopefully I have a better performance than said names that I just dropped out of the Royals bullpen. But the Royals, hey, season, it's not a sprint, it's a race. They lose 10-2 today, give up a grand slam, kind of the cherry on top for the Guardians, but return home, 4-game set against the White Sox. So move on to the next day.
Get right series.
Exactly.
Saw this from Jake Eisenberg, friend of the station, friend of the show. Incredibly, he tweets, the Royals have not won a series-deciding game at Progressive Field since 2013.
And they play every year. So you'd think maybe one would
They used to play 19 times a year. Now I think it's down to, 15 times a year, or 13, I think, between the two teams.
Mm-hmm.
And now not every series has had, like a 1-1 tie and then a rubber match like this. But in 13 years, the Royals have lost 9 of those in a row. And of course, they were in pretty good position to at least be competitive in this one, where Cole Reagans looks great through the first 2 batters. Then Jose Ramirez comes up, smokes a line drive back up the middle off the pitching hand, the left hand of Cole Reagans, 92-mile-an-hour comebacker that Reagans took off the hand. Royals reported that he left the game with a left thumb contusion, which is essentially a bruise in common parlance. So shouldn't be terrible, but you could see in the immediate aftermath, Reagans just lost it. Didn't have the feel for anything. It snowballed from there, and the offense still slow to get going. Bobby Witt Jr. now on the board with an extra base hit as he has a double. But 10-2, Kansas City loses the rubber match to Cleveland. They fall 2 games below 500. They're 5-7 right now, but like you said, it is a marathon, not a sprint. It was a marathon season for Michigan as they end up winning the men's basketball national championship. Kind of a sprint for Indiana as they win a football championship in just 2 short years under Curt Cignetti, and UCLA had their own climb to the top of women's basketball. And Nick, that's really where I want to start us off here today with the Big Ten really running college sports right now. Now, I don't want to write off the SEC. I know there are other power conferences out there, but if you look at what the Big Ten has been able to do over the last handful of years, you look at in the last 3 years, 3 Big Ten schools, 3 different Big Ten schools have won the national championship in football: Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana. You look at men's basketball going and winning, having 2 of the Final 4, I think, 7 of the Sweet 16 or some such in this most recent tournament. You get the women's basketball champion in UCLA, and what felt like half the conference ranked in the final AP top 25 there. And then all sorts of Olympic sports. You look at UCLA baseball, being near the top of the country. Oregon, a perennial super regional program. USC back on the way up as well. Up and down the roster, the Big Ten is becoming wildly successful. It's been a good league. It's been deep. It's had plenty of talent, but the Big Ten is winning championships again in all sorts of different sports. You have dominant programs in some of these as well. You have depth of programs like in football and in basketball. So first and foremost, what do you think's been the secret sauce for the Big Ten in getting to this point?
Well, you add a couple teams in there like Oregon, UCLA, USC, Washington. I think that adds a little, room for the pie for those teams as well. But I think just competition, I think, you play good competition throughout the entire year, regardless of the sport. I think that, helps you along the way when the postseason comes. Like Michigan, obviously, they were tested. Like they were tested against, they were down double digits against a team like Northwestern with Nick Martinelli as kind of their guy, the one guy of their team in some shape or form. But Michigan's a team where they were tested and they played good teams throughout the entire regular season. They dropped a game to Wisconsin, a Wisconsin team that was very different from a team we saw back in December of 2025. And they improved and get better as the season goes. Oh, I mean, they lost in the first round of the tournament at the high point, but regardless, a solid program. And you mentioned other sports like UCLA women's basketball. They win. They cut down the nets on Sunday against Dawn Staley in South Carolina, who is a phenomenal basketball program in the SEC conference. They've been obviously in the Final Four several times under Dawn Staley and have been very competitive. And, several players have gone off to the WNBA. You even mentioned the other sports like this weekend, the Frozen Four. Wisconsin and Michigan are on other sides of the bracket. And that's two of the top four teams left in the Frozen Four. Mm-hmm. They're both ranked near the top. You go to field hockey. Northwestern's won back-to-back titles in that. Wisconsin played Ohio State in the women's hockey championship as well. Those are two Big Ten schools. It runs deeper than, just football and basketball. It goes even deeper if you dive into more of the, obviously niche sports. Washington won the men's college soccer championship, I believe, too. So you keep going down the line. It's deeper and deeper. Obviously, like I said, basketball and football, for obvious reasons, are the ones talked about. But maybe baseball this year, maybe softball. The season, the academic season's still going on. I know volleyball went A&M's way. They were the hottest team in the country in the way. But that's one sport compared to the football, the basketballs, and then mention other sports down the line. So I think the big thing for it's mostly, obviously, money is going to have to play a role, I think. We obviously have to bring that up for obvious reasons. SEC did it for several years, and they had a dominant run. And Big Ten's kind of said, hey, what you can do, we can do better. That's kind of been the motto. And obviously, money's a situation with it. But I also think the talent and the recruiting and what these coaches, I think coaching goes a long way, especially with look at down the line of sports. What Fred Hoiberg did this year. Look at the coaches in the Big Ten for basketball.
Well, the Big Ten might have never had a deeper roster of coaches. And not just that there are now 18 of them, but in terms of actual good, legit coaches, there might have never been this many good coaches in the Big Ten at one time.
Yeah, even when the conference was before Nebraska even came around. I don't think
it was 11.
It was 11 teams, and I don't think the coaching depth
didn't go 11 deep.
No. Now it's if you're not a top 14 coach in the league, you're kind of sitting there okay, what do I have to do to improve? Because I'm in the bottom 4 echelon of this conference, which you're treading water, barely. You're maybe underwater at that point. You really have to gauge yourself and improve, because if you're not improving, the other 17 teams in your conference are going to be above you in some quick time.
The Athletic wrote something along the lines of what you're talking about there. It says it can't just be that the Big Ten has more money than everyone else, because the Big Ten has always had more money than everyone else. I don't know to what extent that's true, but there are some pretty massive, pretty historic universities in the Big Ten, right? Some of the money there at Ohio State, at Michigan, some of those other, huge public schools has been there, has always been there. They've Indiana, right? Sleeping giant for a long time, massive enrollment base, massive donor base. SEC schools, I don't know if they've had more money. I know the Big Ten has certainly passed them with the football media rights distribution at the very least, and maybe even more. So you give the Big Ten some credit for that in the way that they've leveraged their brand and their product. I would also say, again, not one-to-one, not all schools, but was the SEC more willing to use what money it had under the table? Easy for us to say up here, and a Northern and a Big Ten school compared to the SEC. I am not trying to convince anyone out here that Big Ten schools didn't cheat. The Big Ten schools didn't give money under the table, but it is interesting that as soon as the new NIL and rev share rules pass, hey, here comes the Big Ten. Is it because they had, more resources in that place, in that area to pour into the new system and they're able to adapt quicker? Or did the Big Ten finally gain the ability to do what the SEC's been doing all along? And now it's got to be over the table. And these Big Ten schools look just as appealing, if not more appealing, than some of these SEC schools for various talent. But I don't know. I don't know if there's ever going to be a clean answer to that. But Stuart Mandel, I believe it is, of The Athletic, says it is the coaching. Whether it is basketball, like we just talked about, football, obviously, right? Volleyball's probably the Pioneer Trailblazing Conference right now with all the schools that are there, and Stanford being good, but not maybe the outlier, right? In some cases for the West Coast outpost of the sport in that way. The SEC, when it got good at basketball, hired new officials and told its schools, hey, take basketball seriously. Go hire good coaches. Don't be afraid to pay big bucks for it, which is where you get a Bruce Pearl at Tennessee and Auburn for a while. It's where you take a chance on Nate Oates and invest in him, on and on down the list for those schools. So I don't think it's all coaching. I don't think it's all money, but I would say those are probably two of the biggest factors, is that the Big Ten is way ahead of the field. I mean, the SEC is within arm's reach, but the Big Ten is still ahead in terms of the media rights distribution. And the Big Ten has done a pretty darn good job hiring coaches or retaining coaches across the board.
Yeah, and you look at the like two coaches that went into my mind from both conferences. Look at Auburn and Florida football. Hire Hugh Freeze, Billy Napier. At the time, okay, like Hugh Freeze is a little weird, but experience in that conference from time. But a couple of years later, doesn't work out. Yeah. Billy Napier at the time, Louisiana Lafayette, what he was doing there, comes to Florida looking to potentially bring the Gators back. Can't do it.
Didn't do it.
Look at Illinois. Illinois had Lovie Smith for a while. They were treading water, but then they bring in Brett Bielema, who obviously got experience at Wisconsin. Nebraska fans very familiar what he did at Wisconsin. Sorry to bring that up, everybody from the 2010s. But then he goes out to Arkansas. It doesn't work out. Illinois brings in Brett Bielema, and Illinois is winning 8 to 9 games, and that's fine for Illinois football. Illinois football, there wasn't really an expectation of winning 10 wins, but 9, 10, 8 to 10 wins for them a year. That's what they bought in for with Brett Bielema. And then you look at Indiana, for obvious reasons, their football program was kind of in that bottom echelon of the conference for a long time for football. I hate to just compare it to football, but you mentioned the basketball portion of it with Bruce Pearl. But the Big Ten really invested into their programs. You look at it here at Nebraska, like Fred Hoiberg comes in, investments coming in for Nebraska basketball. You look at volleyball there. I mean, obviously the trailblazing set the stone, what you want to do with a program in volleyball. They're the foundation of it. But then you look at other teams in the conference as well. Penn State's been really good for a long time. And you go down the line, and you can't be playing catch up in a league like that, because you're going against not only really talented teams, really good programs that are buying into each sport, but also the coaches that are going to be carrying a lot of load and getting the recruiting and developing players across the board. So I think obviously money and coaching goes hand in hand. It's one of the two factors. There's other things as well, but I think those two are the main ones. And I think the Big Ten just has checked all the boxes on all the coaches across the board.
They really have. And obviously the championships speak for themselves. The postseason success speaks for itself. But there's a rebuttal in The Athletic as well that I think is certainly interesting. Joe Rexrode, who actually bumped into him down in Oklahoma City. He was there covering things for The Athletic and wrote about Nebraska and Vandy, SEC-based sort of guy. Writes the SEC's rebuttal to this here. He says, but the history that led to this Big Ten moment of glory is getting some hyperbolic treatment. I suspect the same is true of the analysis of future ramifications. The Big Ten is winning all the big ones now. That doesn't mean the SEC is done winning the big ones. There's too much money at stake and openly being thrown around to take that idea seriously. This is rich kids versus rich kids, and they've been throwing money around and barbs at each other in a variety of ways for a long, long time. Yeah. The SEC just last year put 2 teams in the Final Four, had 2 of the top 4 teams in the sport and 2 of the top, I think, 15 teams of all time, according to the Ken Pomeroy metrics. Now, Auburn loses in the Final Four. Florida wins in the Final Four. Florida goes on to win the national championship. Think about how many championships the SEC won in football. Headlined by Alabama, headlined by Georgia, obviously, and quasi-SEC program, Clemson, which I know they can't claim, but it's operated like one. We can be honest about that in the ACC. So, yeah, it's not like the SEC or Southern sports are completely gone. They're still there. They're going to be competitive. But, Nick, what I'm really fascinated to watch over the next few years is how the SEC specifically reacts to the Big Ten success. There's a world in which the SEC says, okay, here's what we got to do to catch up. There's another world, or here's how we have to get better. Here's how we have to improve to catch up. Mm-hmm. There's another world where the SEC tries to litigate. I don't know if we can catch up, Greg Sankey says, so we're going to litigate the Big Ten down. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that would happen, but it just kind of feels like the societal way to do things. Instead of trying to improve yourself, to get creative, to find a niche, to find a market carve out where you can take those steps up the ladder, it just feels like we're headed for a world and a situation where the SEC is going to do more pulling the Big Ten down instead of trying to pull itself up in some of those ways.
Yeah, and we were talking about all the championships. What strikes me the most is, like, we talk about Big Ten wrestling. You know, Nebraska's up there, Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State's won multiple national titles over the past 10 years. The SEC, they don't have wrestling, which blows my mind to this day that they still don't have a wrestling conference.
They don't have wrestling, but they do dominate baseball in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways. I mean, they do have LSU, which is, you know, that's Baton Rouge south here, or north here in Omaha. But UCLA's up there. There's teams like that who have been knocking on the door. We've seen before, you know, the Pac-12 became what it became. Oregon State was really good for a long time. They beat Arkansas in one of the most famous notable ones where Arkansas drops the ball in foul.
Sorry, Dave Van Horn.
It was
you did yourself.
Bermuda Triangle out there and you know, foul territory. That happens and gives Oregon State life, and Oregon State forces another game and wins. And that's they do dominate the baseball. They've had really good softball programs. Tennessee's up there. Texas now, who is now a full-fledged SEC school. That also plays an factor too. They were kind of the first ones to really start that, add to their conference with Texas and Oklahoma. And I think at that time, you know, everybody kind of talking, oh, SEC is just going to become this super conference, break away from the NCAA. That was a conversation for a long time. Like, I don't think that'll ever happen, but it's a conversation always talks about, like, SEC wants to add more and do more and all this. Like, I don't really see that happening, but at that point, you know, we go back to 2021 when that happened, when, you know, Texas, Oklahoma, whoa, this is a very shocking thing. These two teams are breaking away from tradition. How dare they? They did it because, one, they're going to make more money, and they're going to play the Georgias and the Alabamas and the LSU with teams who won national titles. It's such an interesting conversation that will continue to be had. I know that right now, like, the Big Ten obviously has won multiple across different sports, but you look at the big bucks with football. It's not the first year the Big Ten's won a title. They won it to Ohio State, Michigan a couple of years ago with J.J. McCarthy and company. So it's not just this has happened in the past 6 months. We're looking at a full-fledged couple years thing this has happened, which who knows how it trends. Like, you know, we could come down here in June and an SEC team just wipes the floor in the College World Series. But it's a debate that will be happening for a long time, and who knows what the SEC has up their sleeve.
It's cyclical, right? I mean, the SEC had its era of dominance in football. Okay, the Big Ten won 3 in a row. Still got a ways to go to catch up to Nick Saban.
Obviously.
And, you know, just as a conference, just ended up passing Georgia, you know, in these last couple of years. Think about even basketball. I mean, last year, the SEC won 89% of its non-conference games, 14 teams, a record in one NCAA tournament, 7 teams in the Sweet 16, 4 in the Elite 8, 2 in the Final 4, won 23 NCAA tournament games last year. The Big Ten kind of wiped the floor with everyone this year in terms of NCAA basketball tournament wins. And I know it's funny to look at this stuff in just a single year-over-year basis, but the Big Ten won 21 games, the SEC won 14, the Big 12 won 11 for the top 3. Well, last year, the SEC won 2 more games than the Big Ten did. In March Madness alone, it's not like the SEC is not still good. The Big Ten's just been coming out on top right now. And so that's why I'm not super concerned about what's the SEC going to do. Are they going to try to undermine the Big Ten? What does that look like? Because I think some of this is cyclical, but I am curious to see if it's a raise your game moment. Okay, what do we have to do to compete better in the transfer portal? What do our coaches have to do better? What does our league have to do better? Versus, okay, what are some rules that we as the SEC can push out there to structure things that are more to our advantage, right? It's not a huge divide, because I think that both those conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC, are plenty comfortable up there together, right? The town is big enough for the two of them in college sports. but it won't always be. Someone's going to want the whole town to themselves. Someone's going to want to go out there in front of the saloon and do the quick draw duel, loser leaves town sort of thing. And I'm curious to see if this is the Big Ten having won that duel, and in the changing tides of college athletics, if this is the Big Ten ushering the SEC out of the way, there's a new sheriff in town, or did the SEC, clip the Big Ten? Can the SEC, graze the Big Ten as they draw? And there will be enough room in town for both of these conferences. If there are even two conferences, if we don't go to super mega conferences and Premier League versus whatever league, like relegation, whatever, like I know Jay talks about all the time, there's a bunch of different ways this can go. I don't want to overreact and say the Big Ten is, now the grand poobah of everything in college sports. The SEC is still plenty powerful, but I do give the Big Ten plenty of credit, no matter how legally or illegally they've done it, for finally getting over that hump in a number of sports.
Well, yeah, you saw it like you mentioned football, and you're talking about a team that, a conference that lost maybe one of the greatest college football coaches, Nick Saban. He retires. And you had to fill him with Kalen DeBoer. Before that, obviously, that's a huge replacement. The Big Ten hasn't had that big of a coaching change, I would say, in their conference. I mean, you could argue like Urban Meyer was one, but then obviously they had Ryan Day in the waiting, and Ryan Day was able to win a championship just years later. But yeah, the Big Ten, like you said, the Southern Draw, I like that you say that, they're still going to go at it, even, down the line here in college baseball, college softball regionals. The SEC and the Big Ten are going to be the big players come the Women's College World Series in June in Oklahoma City. More than likely. Texas is up there. Nebraska, UCLA, across the board. You obviously have some Big 12 schools up there, Texas Tech, who are really good. So this conversation, there's no right or wrong answer. Well, it's in due time. Depends when you ask this question too. You could ask it 4 years ago, and people would be like, Big Ten better than SEC? I don't know about that. And then you ask it today, and it's like, well, I don't know. The Big Ten's got the championships to ask up. And the SEC still, like you mentioned, it's not just like the Big Ten's winning all this comfortably. The SEC has teams competing at a high level as well. Like they're right on the doorstep. They match up with Big Ten teams all the time. We saw it in the college football playoff. We saw it in the NCAA tournament. We see it in the women's tournament years ago as well. We saw it in the women's tournament this year. It's across the board, and it depends where you look, who you cherry pick with. But it's a conversation that's interesting because obviously both leagues, there is a little bit of a rivalry there, and one wants to try to get ahead of the other. And the Big Ten kind of has that edge right now, but the SEC sitting around. There's multiple, 15 plus 80s sitting around, and a president of the conference sitting around like, what can we do to improve and not let this be a talking point? Because obviously a conference that sits at the top doesn't like hearing that.
Right.
Right. A Big Ten, we heard about it here all the time being in the Midwest, all the SEC. And it's like, man,
it just means more.
It just means more. And that slogan hurts. And they want to mean that. It means more to them.
It does indeed right now for the Big Ten, on a pretty unprecedented run of success recently for that conference, but I don't think the SEC is going away without a fight. He's Nick Wyman. I'm Austin Norman. This is Old School, hour one of which is brought to you by Harland of Nebraska Windows. They're based out of Hallam, Nebraska, where they offer free estimates, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and lifetime warranties on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Harland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give Harland of Nebraska Windows a call today for more info, 402-430-3852, or you can visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. We will go to break. We will be officially back in full effect on the radio after the Royals 10-2 loss to talk more big picture college athletics, a 5-year eligibility clock being proposed by the NCAA. I love it. I'll tell you why next.
Seems like just the other day, I was building my first house. I've seen many changes to our building market in Lincoln. It's been a fun road.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
We hear this a lot where I don't want to live in a cookie cutter home. Well, let's come up with some answers on what we're going to build, where we're going to build it, and what it's going to cost. One thing that we started doing early on was we started building neighborhoods. I'm a firm believer in character in your street and in your neighborhood. I like choice. I like variation. I like maybe something a little bit different in a neighborhood that you don't see in every neighborhood. I think it's great to have choices, its uniqueness, and I think that's what gives a neighborhood character. And I think that's what we've done over the years.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Hey, this is Jay Foreman, the host of Old School, 3 to 6 p.m. here at 93.7 The Ticket. And one of my favorite things to do is come down and meet all the fans before and after as they cheer on our beloved Huskers.
This message is brought to you by the Downtown Lincoln Association and 93.7 The Ticket.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines. Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
This is Grant Wister. I played at Nebraska, and after football, I wanted to build something in Nebraska that I was genuinely proud of. Champ Roofing is that. We built the whole company around one idea: do the job right and treat people well. Roof replacements, inspections, gutters, siding, whatever you need, our team is going to show up, communicate with you, and handle it with real care. Nebraska homeowners deserve that. Visit us at champ-roofing.com or call 402-858-7449.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas, and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
And electrical.
John just tried Runza's new Jammin' Bacon Cheeseburger with its sweet heat bacon jam, pepper jack cheese, bacon, and cream cheese.
Whoa, this burger's like totally
What?
You know, boom, 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 boom.
Not sure I'm getting it.
It's totally jammin'?
Ah, I see. Well, don't jam with your mouth full. Try the Jammin' Bacon Cheeseburger. Because from the way we make it to the way it makes you feel, Runza makes it all better.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome back in. It is Old School. Austin and Nick are with you here for the next hour and a half or so. Harrison and or Tristan will jump in at some point then at 5 with, again, Jay Foreman out on short notice. 402-464-5685. Eric, appreciate you chiming in. Took you a while.
Yeah,
man, you're tardy. I'm sending you to the principal's office. This was a late text, Eric. So another one of those. I'll have to write you up and in-school suspension for you. But no, late scratch on Jay Foreman. As far as I know, he should be back for tomorrow.
You have to mute Eric. He gets a 15-minute mute. He cannot text in. That's by law due to being tardy. No.
Westy says, "Go Guards." I thought we were friends.
No, that's
I thought we were friends.
Yeah, that's not allowed. We'll see next time. Next time, I will say we get them next time. But I don't know if the Royals. We got to get the bats going because if you're not hitting and your starter gets knocked out due to injury early, all signs point to a loss, and that's kind of what happened today.
Eric claims he has a job to do. Yeah, Eric, your job is to text in at the start of the show, not at the start of the second segment of the show. Yeah. But whatever, we'll give you a pass for today. Thomas and Lincoln says, "Go Cardinals." Yeah, I mean, if you want to root for Missouri's second best team, more power to you. I never really understood why my grandpa was a Cardinals fan. And then I don't know how long it was before he passed, but I was chatting with him and that topic came up. And he said that he became a Cardinals fan because when he was growing up, St. Louis was the only baseball team west of the Mississippi. It's the only team he could hear.
Interesting.
Which is just bizarre.
Bizarre to hear, you say that.
I mean, I guess so.
Yeah, we're too young for that generation, I guess. One team west of the Mississippi. That's wild. That's wild.
Thomas says, "I don't understand why people are Royals fans." Nick, why are you a Royals fan?
So when I was growing up here in the heart of Lincoln, America here, I would say. So I remember I didn't see Alex Gordon play at Nebraska. But when I heard, this guy is debuting for the Royals and he is going to be playing, I was in first grade or something like that. And I was very new to the game of baseball. And I remember, hearing he's going to make his major league debut today. And we got out of school at noon for something. And I remember I didn't see it on TV, but I was able to listen to it. And I remember names like Coco Crisp on the Red Sox. And I was like, that's a crazy name as a first grader thinking I was like, your name's Coco. And then Alex Gordon was there. And Alex Gordon, with him being in Nebraska ties, that's kind of what made me, obviously when I started playing the game of baseball, I played a little bit of left field, played a little bit of third base throughout my childhood. And ironically, that's kind of what Alex Gordon did throughout his life. So it kind of was hand in hand. And I was like, hey, that's a pretty good story. A guy from, grew up here, went to Lincoln Southeast High School and made a name for himself at Nebraska, went just down the road to Kansas City. And look what he did. And I think no regrets on what my fanhood for the Royals came to be. They were pretty bad throughout my childhood, but then they got a nice World Series run there in 2014, then finally captured a World Series in 2015. So it was maybe one of the top sports moments of my life, I will say. I remember sitting there, staying up late with my dad, watching the game in high school, and didn't have to go to school the next day because I stayed up too late after that one.
There we go. I am terminally online. It's a problem. I'm trying to get better at it. But there was a meme format floating around Twitter one point. You wouldn't last an hour in the asylum where I was raised. Don't know if you remember that one at all.
Yes.
The asylum in which you and I were raised in Royals fandom. It was the era where the Royals were going 62 and 100, 69 and 93, 75 and 87, 65 and 97, 67 and 95, 71 and 91, 72 and 90. They were bad.
They were bad. I mean, you can name like a,
we're not going to spend too much time naming guys because we'll get so completely derailed. We have the receipts. I'm sure someone was recording in that studio back there, and between you, me, and Sorensen, some of the names that we pulled that played actual honest to goodness innings and took
quality
real
innings,
bats,
quality pitching
for
innings.
The Royals is insane. I'm a Royals fan because I don't know any different. It's just one of those things I just grew up with. My dad was a Royals fan. We would go to Royals games every so often. We would talk about the Royals. We would watch the Royals. They were Dad's team, so they're my team.
And they play 100. Yeah, and they play 162 times a year. It's America's pastime. Like you said,
baseball is probably my favorite sport growing up. Mm-hmm. Still might be. I don't know. It's between that and basketball.
I remember sitting down with my dad watching, games where they maybe win once a week, and that one game would feel like an awesome moment. I remember one time me and my dad went down there. We saw Glenn Sparkman throw a good game against the White Sox. Yes, Glenn Sparkman. That's one of the 50 names you can name who threw quality innings. But yes, that's just how you kind of get thrown in the Royals fandom. They're obviously on TV every day when they play. You can hear them on the radio, especially right here at 93.7 The Ticket. So you just kind of fall into it. You fall in line, and then you obviously went through years of suffering, 100 lost seasons, but then you see seasons, plural,
multiple, many,
and yeah, you can probably count more than fingers you have on your two hands than in our lifetime, and that just continues to happen. And hopefully, there's less of those as we get older.
Jordan P says nobody was a Royals fan until they got good. They were all Yankees and Red Sox fans. Shields barely had a Royals stuff pre-2010. I wasn't shopping at Shields really pre-2010. I had Royals stuff growing up. And here's the thing. When a team wins, of course they're going to pick up more fans.
So
it's natural. Now, it annoyed me a little bit, but maybe I've softened in my old age. Maybe fatherhood has made me soft. But I've said this with Nebraska men's basketball for those people that were saying, well, we were forged in the fire. We went through the crap. Get off the bandwagon if you weren't here before. No, share your fandom. It's meant to be shared. Everyone can enjoy it because it is better now. And Thomas says, at least y'all ain't Cubs fans. I don't understand why people are Royals fans. See why put yourself through so much pain. Because it made 14 and 15 worth it. So that is maybe the most magical, 390-ish day stretch, maybe 450 day stretch or so that I remember in sports. To see the Royals crawl their way back into the wild card race after leading the division and falling behind and then snagging the wild card, a 2014 AL wild card game.
One of the best games.
Parlaying into sweeping Mike Trout out of the playoffs in just one appearance. Parlayed into the Baltimore Orioles getting swept out of the playoffs. Parlayed into having a Game 7 of the World Series at home and an iconic baseball moment with a no send for Alex Gordon after the Giants misplay to going into the Royals on a roll in 2015, playing actual good baseball from start to finish, and then getting in the playoffs. Is this where it all crumbles? Did the magic all dry up last year? No, it didn't. Off Correa, on into center field. Kansas City has tied it in the 8th to win that game, to win the series, to battle with the Blue Jays, and then to win some coin flip games against the Mets. It was magical, I tell you, from August to October, 14 to 15.
It's and there's teams, when they got there in 14 and lost, I remember saying well, maybe that's the only time I get to see a Royals World Series appearance in my lifetime. Maybe this was it, and that's heartbreaking. I know Blue Jays fans last year, what happened with them? There are some fans sitting there watching that last year. I was well, that might have been it. We were this close to winning a World Series. And I remember being in high school during those games where they played, obviously 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. I remember hustling home after the bell rang, the final bell rang for school, to go watch those games. I remember the Astros and the Royals played some of those games at 3 o'clock. I remember just getting out of there and be I cannot stay to talk. I have to get out of here. I have to watch this.
I got home and explicitly on purpose did not watch. I don't remember if it was Guthrie or Vargas start a game against the Orioles. This isn't going to go well. They're going to get shellacked. Baltimore's going to come back and win the series. And they didn't. The Royals won that game, sweeping through it all. And it was absolutely incredible. Sutter Heyman Jewelers text line 402-464-5685. Raiders fan says, y'all know nothing of the asylum I was raised in as a Raiders fan. Westy says, Major League changed my young life. That's why I say go Guards. Very, very influential on me. We even purchased our own Jobu for our Legion team's dugout. Cigar Guy says, I'm married into being a Cubs fan. So many years of garbage baseball, but it sure is fun at Wrigley. 2016 was super fun, though. Yeah, Wrigley is an incredible baseball environment. Sainer and I got to go last year when we were out there for Big Ten basketball media days, taking some postseason baseball at Wrigley. It's so fun trying to figure out how, when, where, why someone became a fan and why they're still a fan. For me, I just don't know where else I would go. I can watch a bunch of baseball and, enjoy and appreciate a bunch of teams, but it's just not the same. They're just not the Royals. And so what's the point of me even having a quote unquote backup team? Sure, I appreciate other players across baseball, but I would switch my NFL fandom long before I switch my MLB fandom.
I feel that same way. I can sit down and watch a Royals game, a 9-inning game, and feel fine through the 2.5, 3 hour game. I sit down and watch a game between, let's say, the Yankees and the Rays. Mm-hmm. I just kind of sit there and it's just kind of background noise for me. I can't really obviously Aaron Judge steps to the plate. All right, I got to pay attention. Something big might happen here.
So you were the guy that cut away to always at bats during his home run chase.
No, I did not. As a college football fan, I hated that. I was all right, first and goal for this team. Oh wait, we got a split screen with Aaron Judge. No, that's a story for another time. But no, I will pay attention to other players, pay attention to other teams. If game's close, I'll turn it on. But the Royals, even if it's today, it's 10-2. It's I'm still there till the final out. Sorensen bailed top of the 7th inning today.
No. Sorensen bailed in the top of the 3rd inning today. Let's not give him that much credit for sticking around just because he had the game on his phone and stopped watching in the 7th inning. There are conversations back there. That man was gone.
Oh, so he
in the 3rd inning.
Okay, so he was in here till the 3rd inning. He comes back. He's like, "Oh, I'm still invested." And I was like, "Okay, so
he was not invested.
Okay.
He was emotionally detached and disinterested as early as the 3rd inning."
Here's the thing. I say this. It's a marathon. Farley's in here talking up the Braves. It's
fun Braves moment last night, by the way.
Well, Jorge Soler, former Royal, involved in that, and Jorge Soler is you see him on TV, he looks like a normally sized player. He's a brick wall. He's a brick wall,
yeah.
And I can't imagine that guy coming at you full speed, dropping his bat, walking towards you. I'd be like, all right, I'm out of here. And to be able to that what a moment that was. I mean, we've seen the Angels involved in 2 of the biggest stop and watch moments. You had Joe Adele robbing 3 home runs, especially him standing in the crowd essentially after that last one this past weekend. Then you have the Jorge Soler, Ronaldo Lopez going at one another. So it's only we're only like a week and a half fully into the baseball season, and it is we've had some incredible moments across the board.
Justin from Hickman, we will take a look into that. Westy says, I grew up going to Rockies games, so the pitiful Colorado franchise will always hold a spot in my heart. I can respect that. Even if you're not a true Rockies fan or they're not your primary allegiance, there is something about growing up close enough to get to go to the games of a team to where, even as bad as they are, it's like the lovable loser. Yeah, I mean, I want the best for you. I know it's not going to go well, but to be able to watch a team that you can appreciate without having any negative emotional commitment or attachment to it. Again, not trying to tell anyone how to fan. It's a lovely cop-out to be able to have. Where you can watch the games, you can root for them, but shucks, they lost. I can move on with my day. Whereas every time the Royals bullpen blows a lead, are you kidding me? This guy sucks. That's the Jake Sorensen approach. Fire him into the sun. Get him out of here. I've seen enough. Send him to the black hole. Omaha. No, just kidding. Northwest Arkansas. Nope. Cut him. DFA. And then they win. World Series. I call it Royals Cubs World Series.
It's a daily, 24-hour different mood. Coors Field is a really nice field. I've been there. My dad's from Colorado. I saw a game the year the Rockies made the
Buffs fan?
Royals. He's a Royals fan.
But Colorado Buffaloes guy? Or Nebraska guy?
He's a Nebraska guy.
Okay.
Because he went to school here.
Oh, good.
So he moved here. But no, Denver Broncos. I'm a Chiefs fan, so a little bit of a butting heads there. But at least he's not a Raiders fan. Sorry, in the chat as well. But no, so I went to the game in Coors Field. Lovely ballpark in the summer. It's really nice. Saw Jeff Francis, the pitcher, hit a home run against the Brewers. It was the year the Rockies made the World Series. We mentioned a couple of names of those teams, like Todd Helton was there, Brad Hopp. Interesting team. We talked about it the other week, but I saw a pitcher hit a home run when pitchers were batting. That was a thing. If you're new to the game of Major League Baseball, pitchers used to bat in the National League and interleague play, which I still like seeing a good pitcher go up there and try to do something with it. It was always entertaining.
Michael Lorenzen.
He was able to do a couple. Bartolo Colon has the most famous pitcher home run outside of guys who have pitched and hit as well. But Bartolo Colon hit a home run. Electric, to say the least.
Bartolo Colon, icon, not a legend, to bring an off-air conversation slightly on air. We will go to break. We will wrap up hour 1 with a short segment. A big thank you to Graham Tire Company for sponsoring Old School. We will tell you more about them throughout the course of the show. 402-464-5685. Keep your general sports thoughts rolling in as we roll into hour 2 momentarily.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Schwezo Construction, safety isn't just a policy, it's a promise. Build with us. Work safe, go home proud. We're hiring skilled craftsmen, laborers, concrete workers, and steel erectors who value quality work and a team that has your back, on and off the job site. If you're ready to be part of a company where your safety and success come first, visit Schwezo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com and apply today. Schwezo Construction, 40 years strong and still building the future.
Imagine if the people who work at your bank were neighbors who could help with a home loan.
Congratulations, you're approved.
Or friends who love to shop local.
Have a good one.
At UBT, who you work with matters just as much as what you're working toward. Hey, thanks for helping. That's why your money has more than a banker. It has people. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
When it comes to keeping your equipment running, you've got options at Landmark Implement. Whether you need premium John Deere parts or a more economical solution, A&I parts from Landmark deliver the dependable performance you can count on with cost savings up to 40%. From filters and bearings to belts and everyday repairs, A&I parts are built to work as hard as you do while helping stretch your budget further. Stop by your local Landmark Implement parts counter today or shop online anytime at shop.deere.com and experience the Landmark difference.
Good morning, Breakers. This is Scott Miller from Midwest Bank. When I recently joined Midwest Bank, I was immediately impressed by our exceptional service. My first customer made the switch from a large corporate bank and didn't have to wait in line or call a 1-800 number. We treated him like family. He now visits the bank just to say hello. While other banks go corporate, we stay Nebraska. Visit us at midwest.bank or drop by a branch today. Your community, your bank. Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
When something breaks, you want someone you can trust to fix it right. Empire Repair is now open in Waverly and ready to serve our community with reliable auto repair and maintenance. From routine service to bigger repairs, our team is here to keep you on the road. Stop by Empire Repair in Waverly or call 402-786-2224 to schedule your service today. Empire Repair, proud to serve Waverly.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Looking for something fun tonight? Axe throwing, local beer, and great vibes are waiting at Arbor Axe House. From casual nights out to celebrations and team events, it all starts here. Reserve a lane today at arboraxe.com. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
Sandhills Global is growing right here in Lincoln. With our expanding campus and continued growth, we're hiring across a wide range of careers, from interns to experienced professionals. Join the team at Sandhills Global and build your career with competitive pay, great benefits, and real opportunities to grow. Visit sandhills.jobs to view openings and apply today. That's sandhills.jobs.
April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, and guys, this is your reminder to take your health seriously. If you've noticed tremors, stiffness, or slower movement, don't ignore it. Parkinson's disease affects men more often, and early detection can make all the difference. This spring, take control. Get answers, take action. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they're helping you spring back into health with advanced technology and compassionate care, because your health isn't something to put off. Advanced Medical Imaging, your diagnosis, their priority.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into Old School. Hour 1 brought to you by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. You see the information scrolling down below us if you're watching on stream. If you're not, we'll tell you you can visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com, or you can give them a call at 402-430-3852. All right, let's go to our starter here in Jewelers text line first. Then we'll have a fun kind of question to wrap up the hour. Thomas and Lincoln, thoughts on the bench clearing in the Angels game last night? Glenn Sparkman threw a heck of a game against the White Sox. Jorge Soler threw a heck of a punch against the Braves last night. Talk about this with Bach a little bit. Reynaldo Lopez changed the game. Holding the glove and holding the baseball to start this?
I mean,
woo!
Having a baseball in your hand, it's like brass knuckles almost, pretty much. Like, I mean, you get hit with a baseball, but a glove? I don't know.
But what does more damage? Punching someone with a baseball or hitting him with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball? Because both of those things happened to Jorge Soler last night.
Probably the fastball probably stings a little bit more, but no, I don't know. Getting tackled by people too as well. That was also
by opposing managers.
By a manager.
Not just people, by the opposing manager.
The Atlanta Falcons put out a little post saying, like, good tackle, good form. Maybe some football in the back.
Walt Weiss, here's a contract. Gonna play linebacker.
Maybe there's some football background there from the Braves manager. But yeah, like we were saying before we went to break, what a crazy couple of weeks of Major League Baseball. And this is just the first couple of weeks. There's still multiple more moments that will be made throughout the season. We'll see more fights. We'll see more home runs getting, taken back. We'll see more walk-offs, some errors. I mean, I saw Roman Anthony had a not great throw as well last night in that game as well. So it's just been a couple of weeks, and I love that people are investing, because people always been saying, "Oh, baseball's lost its luster." It's now not America's pastime anymore. People are still invested, and
baseball's back, baby.
Those kind of moments are what people love to see, and it's a part of the game.
The more impressive Angels feat of the week was Joe Adell robbing 3 homers in the same game. We didn't talk about that. That was nuts. I think they were all legit too. It's not like he sold it at the end.
No,
he robbed
in the last
3 homers.
In the last one, he goes diving into the crowd, and then there's obviously the picture of him just in the crowd holding up the ball, holding up his glove. It's what a moment. Hard. And Joe Adell's a guy, like, he had a lot of hype going into him when he come up through the minor leagues, and obviously hasn't put it all together yet. But I've never seen a game where the guy robbing home runs gets interviewed after the game. Usually it's, a hitter who had a walk-off, or a pitcher who threw a really solid game, or somebody had a clutch hit. No, it's a guy who just played really good defense, and you love to see it.
Joe Adell is the reason I haven't fully given up on Jared Kelnick yet.
Yeah, and he's on a different team now too, because he
all sorts of different
teams. Was in Seattle. Where's he at? Where's he at now?
He was with Atlanta.
I thought the White Sox gave him a contract for a bit too. But yes, I remember him. He had a little bit of a 2-week run with the Seattle Mariners for a bit, and then
he is indeed with the White Sox this year. They signed him a minor league deal, and
I don't know.
Yeah, he's not been in the bigs yet this year.
So. The Royals play him next, so maybe you just spoke something into existence. But we'll see. But yes, I mean, guys, it depends on situations. Guys blossom and may not come up and hit their full potential, go somewhere else, and then things start to click. So Joe Adell took a little bit to get him going as an everyday player, and now when you play good defense like that, I mean, hey, you're gonna see some playing time if you make plays like that.
And I wish the Royals would have traded for him, but they didn't, and it's far too late, and the price is far too high. To wrap up the hour, I want to ask you this though, Nick. We have the schedule for Big Ten Football Media Days coming up here in July. It'll be Tuesday the 28th through Thursday the 30th. Not in Las Vegas, instead in Chicago. Your Tuesday lineup is Illinois, Iowa, Penn State, Rutgers, USC, and Wisconsin. Your Wednesday lineup, Michigan State, Minnesota, Ohio State, Oregon, Purdue, UCLA. Your Thursday lineup, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Northwestern, and Washington. Best day and worst day.
All right. I really haven't looked at this yet today. So I hear Indiana, and Kirsten-Eddy. It's the sound bites. It's Kirsten-Eddy.
Okay.
That's also interesting with Michigan, because you have Michigan in there. Obviously, their whole coaching, Kyle Whittingham comes, leaves Utah, something that we didn't really see happening probably by Black Friday or anything happening. It seemed like he'd just retire from Utah and be over. He's now there at Michigan, obviously an older coach, and obviously what happened off the field with the Wolverines, that's obviously a question. Mike Loxley's team's very interesting. They have Malik Washington, a young quarterback. So in Nebraska here, obviously you have them as a talking point across the board. But I think Indiana, that really outweighs it, and Kyle Whittingham there. The worst day, it might be the first.
Maybe. Doesn't it have to be the first day?
I think it has to be the first, just because
Because what's the intrigue? The intrigue is Matt Campbell. Other than that, do you care what Lincoln Riley has to say right now?
Well,
do you care what Luke Fickell has to say right now? Do you care about what Bielema and Ferentz have to say right now? And sorry, Greg Schiano, you're there too.
It's kind of a very bland first day. I feel like it's a very
a party starter.
It's a soft launch. I feel like you go okay because everybody you want to plan it like this so people are because everybody's going to be in town. I think before it all starts because hotels are going to get booked up and media days, so people are going to be there regardless. So like let's say you're down there, you have to be down there. Nebraska's not going until day 3. Well, they're going to soft launch it on day 1 with, our least appetite. It's an appetizer day, essentially.
Oh, straight up.
We're going to have that down there. People are going to be there. Matt Campbell's there. Luke Fickell, Lincoln Riley. Yes, Brett Bielema, those guys coming off their seasons of what they had. And then you go into day 2. Day 2's solid. I mean, obviously.
Fitzgerald is back. Fleck, Day, Lanning.
There's going to be
Odom,
something.
Chesney.
You have something going to be said out of that, obviously. And then day 3, I think, is the big one because obviously you have defending national championship coach. You have Michigan, who obviously is a storyline in itself. Nebraska will get some kind of media talk. It all depends who's all there, too, who Nebraska and all these teams bring. Because obviously, like Indiana brings a guy like Josh Hoover as a quarterback. That'll be talking about. Nebraska brings Anthony Calandria. That'll be a talking point in itself. Washington's interesting because they're kind of on that second echelon of Big Ten teams. Who knows what they can do? Obviously,
Washington still has to answer for DeMond
Williams. That was my next point. If he's there, maybe we hear something because that kind of was a story in itself. And then we haven't heard a whole lot about it. And now obviously spring's going on. They're practicing. So I assume the hatchet's buried with that whole situation, but maybe not.
But you still ask the question. So what did it take to get over this? What's the process been like for you and for DeMond Williams and for the team to get through that? That's the question for Washington, isn't it?
And maybe something we talked about in the first segment with money, potentially. It also could be, staying in the Big Ten. Who knows what the outliers were there? Obviously, they were Washington and them were kind of battling each other. I don't think we ever seen a situation where we've seen it a couple times where team is battling with said quarterback who wants to leave. But I think day 3 is by far the cinema of the Big Ten media days on the board right now.
I'm with you. I think day 3 is probably the best. You could talk me into going to day 2. Day 1, I will be there because it's my job.
It's an appetizer day. You don't want to start with the full meal right off the bat. Like if they flipped it and had Nebraska on day 1, not many people are going to stay for that day 3. If you flip day 1 and day 2, smart scheduling. I think
I will give the Big Ten and Tony Petitti some credit. We will go to break. When we get back, let's talk about the Nebraska men's basketball news. Bear K Buchengel in the transfer portal. We'll give our thoughts on that and Nebraska being linked to some more names, primarily in the front court. We'll talk about that as we continue. Old School brought to you by Graham Tire.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Seems like just the other day, I was building my first house. I've seen many changes to our building market in Lincoln. It's been a fun road.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
We hear this a lot where I don't want to live in a cookie cutter home. Well, let's come up with some answers on what we're going to build, where we're going to build it, and what it's going to cost. One thing that we started doing early on was we started building neighborhoods. I'm a firm believer in character in your street and in your neighborhood. I like choice. I like variation. I like maybe something a little bit different in a neighborhood that you don't see in every neighborhood. I think it's great to have choices, its uniqueness, and I think that's what gives a neighborhood character. And I think that's what we've done over the years.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for their members. Whether it's a range session to get accurate club distances, 18 holes with some buddies, or a one-on-one lesson with Back Nine's PGA teaching professional, their top-of-the-line full-swing simulators are there to help you lower your score in perfect conditions. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, the premier indoor golf experience.
Zach Bryan with Heaven on Tour.
Poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you'll never come.
Saturday, April 25th, Memorial Stadium.
Wish I didn't, but I do.
With special guests, Kings of Leon and J.R. Carroll. Tickets are on sale now at ZachBryan.com. Don't miss Zach Bryan live.
MHC isn't a new company, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can handle your commercial moves as well. MHC Moving has 0 hidden fees. You'll never pay for same-day booking or be charged for stairs, heavy items, or elevator fees. Rates are the same Monday through Saturday, and you will never pay a truck or fuel surcharge. And they offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to power your progress, so you can give everything you've got, all for just 1 cent down. Whether you want to get the most out of our best-in-class equipment or go all in with free fitness training, our trainers are ready to help you get stronger than ever before. Take your workout to the next level at Planet Fitness. Join the club today for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th. You ready? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We're going to see a good amount of sunshine today with a high temperature right around 74 degrees, but a cold front is going to be moving through the region. The wind will pick up on the backside of that, and there's a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms south of town this afternoon. We'll be partly cloudy tonight with a low of 40, and then very good chances of rain the next couple of days with highs in the 60s. I'm meteorologist Aaron Dowden for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Here we go on into hour 2 of Old School. Austin Norman, Nick Wyman with you here for this hour of Old School, at least this first half hour of Old School. Coming up at 4:30, I will be joined by Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Talk Husker baseball. Heck of a game last night. Heck of a moment between the Huskers and the Jayhawks. We'll get into that and the road ahead for Nebraska baseball. But as we talk about Nebraska men's basketball, bit of a bombshell. Transfer portal hitting Nebraska harder than some fans would have expected, harder than pretty much all fans, I think, would have expected. A lot of roster projections for next year. Nick had Berke Buchengel factored in, but the news broke this morning, and it's Instagram official, which is really how you know. Berke Buchengel has penned his farewell to Nebraska men's basketball. He is officially on the open market.
We sat here, 24 hours ago, literally talking about here is what some of the outlets have for Nebraska's outlook for 2026, 2027 basketball. And Berke Buchengel was kind of a topic of that. He was on that, that roster. And that is why we said we do not like the preseason way too early predictions for said teams across sports in general. Because a lot of roster can change, stuff happens. And as we saw this morning, as Berke Buchengel announced officially, like you said on Instagram, penned the letter saying goodbye to Nebraska as he is entering the transfer portal. I know a lot of programs have talked about this all day, but a guy who averaged 6 points a game, 5 rebounds, led the team in blocks, his stats don't jump off the page as, whoa, this is a huge loss just because of what he has statistically. But I think he does a lot more than the box score shows. Obviously defensive. He's a perimeter. You saw flashes in some of those NCAA tournament games. He had 2 of the first 4 assists in that Iowa game when Nebraska got on a roll in the Sweet 16. I think he's a good guy to have around. You look at what he did with this group. Obviously, the stats, like I said, don't jump off the page. But he's kind of a vibes guy. Obviously, he had the part where he was bleeding out of his mouth or whatever. That meme that's living in me. He has obviously you saw, if you're watching any of the Connor Sejan videos, he was very a staple in a lot of those. He was a high energy guy for Nebraska on the floor and off the floor. And obviously, we don't know the full details of what happened and what transpired for him to enter the portal, but. Hey, good for the guy. Look what he did from year 1 to year 2 with this program. Obviously coming from UCLA, a very different player from when we saw him a year ago at this time. And now he has a chance to go out and go find another place to play. And that is what the transfer portal is all about. Opportunities ahead, and one door opens and one door closes. And it opens a door now for Nebraska to potentially hit the market for the portal again, as they're looking for a couple more players, because they obviously lost not just Berke, but a couple other guys who entered the portal yesterday as well.
Justin Bolus among them. Yep. Quentin Rhymes among them. Those appear to be the 3 departures for Nebraska for now. Justin from Hickman says, losing Berke hurts Nebraska because not only was he a good contributor, but he seemed like an old school player who played for the love of the university. If he can enter the portal, then it seems like anyone can. And it's 100% a mercenary game with current NIL. Number 1, Berke Buchengel did not start his career at Nebraska. Kale's not remember that. Do we give him any grace, any slack for being in his first year in America and playing for Mick Cronin? Yeah, I think it's fair to give the guy a pass for that. Mick Cronin is not everyone's cup of tea, if you will.
It's a good way to put it.
Good coach, but ran off a couple of key contributors for 2 of the better teams in the Big Ten in Berke Buchengel and Dai Mara, just from last year's team. Or 2 years ago's team, really, or last 2 years, I should say, for UCLA. So, okay, he's already transferred into Nebraska. He came from somewhere else. I think Nebraska probably paid a little bit too much up front for Berke. I think Nebraska got into a bit of a bidding war for him, allowed the price to be driven up, and I don't think it worked out the way Nebraska wanted 2 years ago. I think that it absolutely was worth it for this last year, and we've seen transfers in year 2 take a big jump under Fred Hoiberg. I'm not even going to relitigate the list, but all sorts of players have been better in year 2 with Fred Hoiberg, his coaches, his scheme, than they were in year 1. And it's that fact that I want to keep in mind here, because I think Berke Buchtengel is a fantastic example of the professionalism of college sports and just how athletes in some cases can approach this, because we see this in the pros all the time, right? I do believe Berke Buchtengel legitimately enjoyed, appreciated, maybe even loved his time at Nebraska. Became a fan favorite, which I would not have guessed after the way the Crown season ended.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did a really good job of connecting with his teammates and putting in the work and showing his teammates that, yeah, I'm a new guy. I committed myself to the weight room and nutrition plan. I'm dependable. I'm going to be here. I'm going to show up, which he did. He started 33 games for Nebraska this year, I believe, out of the 35 that Nebraska ended up playing. Or maybe it was all 35 ever good. Started the vast majority, at least, of
33
of the 35 of the 2017 team. So, hey, okay, he showed up. He was there. He was dependable. The box score contributions came and went. I think that you're right that there's more beyond the box score there. But think about it in the lens of, I don't know the best professional example to make, but let's say that you are Paul Skeens. How about that? Which Berke Buchtengel's not Paul Skeens.
So
don't get me wrong.
It's kind of a crazy.
But I'm going to use
yes.
an over-the-top example to illustrate my point.
Go for it.
Paul Skeens does not have a massive contract from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Still on his rookie deal. He will get a big deal from someone else. Paul Skeens, if he wants to be somewhere else, is incentivized to do his best to get the most money. If Paul Skeens wants to stay in Pittsburgh, guess what? Still incentivized to do his best to get the most money. You know, guys that are in a pillow contract year, right? They have the rights to the future. Well, I didn't really want to sign here, but if they gave me a chance when I was at my lowest, they gave me a chance to rehab my value. I'm going to repay that by playing hard. And then at the end of the day, when we part ways, thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for your contributions. But it's just not going to work long term. I want to go somewhere else. No harm, no foul. I don't think Berke Buchtengel was only at Nebraska for the love of the game. I think Berke Buchtengel was at Nebraska because he got a lot of money from Nebraska out of the transfer portal 2 years ago. Robin Washington of Husker Online says Nebraska was not necessarily surprised by this decision because, as Robin reports, this is just ripped straight from his article, Buchtengel's representation had been in negotiations with the Huskers for the past few weeks following NU's NCAA tournament run. While both sides hoped to reach an agreement for a third season in Lincoln, the numbers never added up. According to Husker Online sources, the 6'10" junior's asking price far exceeded what NU was willing to pay. Depending on who you ask, that number was as much as double what Buchtengel made this past season. Robin's connected. He's plugged in. I'm going to take his word for it. But just because Berke Buchtengel is leaving, just because he's chasing the bag because he wants a bigger paycheck, doesn't mean he wasn't at Nebraska for the love of the game. Didn't mean he gave this program his all. I mean, especially over the last year. But he wanted to be here. He appreciated his time here. He got better here. Now he wants a little bit more money. Would it be great? Would it be nice for just the fan perspective to have a guy like that back? Yes, absolutely. But as we're seeing, loyalty isn't the currency of college sports anymore. You can want a guy back. I'm sure Nebraska did in some form or fashion, but he decided to move on. He wants the paycheck more than he wants to be loyal, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be a big deal. We don't have to pillory the young man for wanting more money. We can say, hey, you were pretty dang good last year. You were a key piece of this. We hate to see you go. We saw some great things for you in store here, but because of what you did for us, we're going to wish you the best in the future.
And that's, like you said, college sports is a very different world. This doesn't happen 8 years ago. It's just how the world in the sport is changing across collegiate athletics in the NCAA. And yes, the guy was here for 2 years and he loved by fans, loved by his teammates, and that's what you want him to do. And obviously, like, it's his choice at the end of the day. And obviously, he tried to somehow find some kind of agreement with Nebraska to try to meet there, and numbers just didn't add up. And that's just how it goes. And that's just how college sports work.
And I can respect Nebraska holding firm on its price, even though Nebraska has more resources. We've talked about it on this show, and it's been widely reported. Just because you come into money doesn't mean you just go splash that money around willy-nilly. In the long run, in the big picture, the more you stick to your process, your play, and your valuations, the better you will be more consistently. Not saying the models are perfect or, 100% accurate. Maybe it would have been worth a slight overpay to keep Berke Buchtengel around. And I'll make that case here in just a moment. But I think to get Berke Buchtengel, a plenty talented player in his own right, with some really good highlights coming over from Turkey, a lot of sky-high promise on the offensive end that they may or may not have gotten lived up to at Nebraska necessarily. Maybe Nebraska had to pay a bad team tax to get him here, right? Maybe Nebraska did get a little bit fooled, did get duped in a bidding war, but I don't think Nebraska regrets that decision. This coaching staff really enjoyed and appreciated Berke Buchtengel. They shouted him out 2 years ago now in the Crown season for what he meant to that defense. In a scheme that doesn't have a traditional anchor or rim protector, what Rink Mass was able to do and what Berke Buchtengel were able to do as big men in that system is not something I think Nebraska was looking forward to having to teach everyone, right? That to me is where I think Nebraska is probably most bummed. I don't want to say disappointed in Berke, more disappointed that he's leaving more so than disappointed in him, because I think the best way that I can phrase this, the best way that I can think through this is just my opinion. You can tell me if you agree or disagree, everyone on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, is the Berke Buchtengel's box score numbers are replaceable. I think there was more in the tank for him. I think that if Berke Buchtengel would have been the starting center for Nebraska next season in 26-27, you might have seen Fred Hoiberg go back to the old Sam Griesel, Derek Walker playbook. I think Berke's got some of that juice. I don't think he's quite as offensively talented as Derek Walker was, but I think there's some of that in there, with maybe a little bit more stretch potential on the right night. I also think that Berke Buchtengel is still learning the game of basketball, is still trying to carve out his role in that offense, and that if Berke Buchtengel is put in a situation where he's told to go hunt his shot, it's okay if you take some shots that just weren't available to you at Nebraska, he'll thrive. I'm on record as saying I think Berke Buchtengel was going to be a 10-point per game scorer for Nebraska next year if he was a consistent starter in more of a focal piece. I think there's more offensive talent in there that he showed, just waiting for that light bulb to click in terms of what's expected of him in Nebraska's offense. But I also think the biggest reason Nebraska is bummed Berke Buchtengel's leaving is because they value the continuity, the retention, and that sort of intangible stuff. And they didn't want to need to spend time teaching an extra player the defensive scheme. Now they'll have to with Berke Buchtengel out the door. I think there's a part of Nebraska and the coaching staff that was banking on Berke Buchtengel being back. So that sure you tweak, but that's a guy you trust to lead with his voice defensively, to be in the right spot, to go ahead and make some plays that other guys on the roster can't. But you can replace 6 and 6. You can replace a sub 30% 3-point shooter. You can replace a dirty work, garbage buckets kind of guy. Berke Buchtengel, the box score is probably more simply replaceable than Berke Buchtengel, the person that made an impact on these Nebraska teams.
Exactly. You separate person from player. Obviously, the portal is open. There are a number of players who have a 6 and 6 line and potentially a better shooter from the outside out there. You look down the line, there's probably a handful of guys in that range that fit, but you mentioned the person from the player. Berke Buchtengel, a easy story to get behind as well. Comes from UCLA, comes from Turkey. Look what he did from year 1 to year 2 here at Nebraska. And he's also in a lineup, dropping 6 and 6 with a lineup where he is not the focal point on offense. You have Rink Mast in there. You have Price Sanford, who did what he did when he came here to Nebraska. You have Jamarcus Lawrence, the guy who came back. He is not the number 1, not the number 2, and probably not the number 3 option when they're going down there on a possession. He's a guy who's going to, get a putback potentially or get a ball in the paint after a nice pass from Sam Hoiberg. That was kind of his role, and those were those 6 points usually came from. Usually he was kind of just doing the dirty work, and that is replaceable as a player. But the person, I think you separate person from player in this situation. You have Berkay Buitengel, a guy who gelled well with this group of outcasts, they would say, guys who came from different stories, different backgrounds. He is included in that as well. Obviously, coming from UCLA, Turkey, you throw it all the way back to that, coming up through his European tour. He's a guy where he's going to go somewhere and he's going to thrive. Like, I'm not saying this is the end all be all for Berkay Buitengel, but Berkay Buitengel, the player, he's going to go somewhere where he's going to get money, he's going to play, and he's going to thrive. And like you said, 10 points per game. If you have an offense that doesn't have a Rink Mast, a Price Sanford, Jamarcus Lawrence, Braden Frager off the bench, 10 points is pretty easily with the production he has.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was in the tank for him there. 402-464-5685. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Nebraska not surprised by this. Maybe like fans were waking up today to that news. They're getting their workday started off by spitting out their coffee when they see that news flash across the ticker that they were watching or whatever. There's a lot that goes into these decisions. I think this was primarily money. I think it was just business, and I don't think there are any hard feelings, at least as far as I can tell. We'll keep monitoring that situation. 85-38. Wow. Good riddance of Berkay and Mast.
That's just
Yikes.
I think that's a little reactionary.
Bad take.
Reactionary, because you look, Rink Mast didn't have to come back this year. He didn't have to.
No.
He did. And
he could have gone and been an astronaut. He could be on Artemis 2.
He could have gone. He could have entered the portal. He could have entered the portal and gone somewhere else. And but yeah, he comes back, and obviously, you end up in a Sweet 16. I think we're a couple weeks removed from that Sweet 16 game, and I think not a ton of people really put for granted what that was, what this run was. The Vanderbilt game, we saw all the sides of March. You saw the game where you win a game, you just win a March Madness game against Troy. Then you see the game where, oh my gosh, what just happened in his final seconds? You saw that game where you're on the side of magic. And then you see the side where, the shitting drought happens and Iowa ends up ending your season, gets the last laugh. You can't really move the goalpost from where you were in October when BYU's coming to town for an exhibition game versus the Sweet 16. And those two guys, like, was it the best game of their lives out against Iowa? No. I mean, Rink Mast, obviously, for reasons. Berkay Buitengel as well. Hey, they're going to go out and do whatever they want on the other side, whether it be in basketball or wherever they go in life. And what they did, not just this year, but you look at the last year before that, Rink Mast has been battling injuries. A guy who come back from injuries, like, this was not, without those two guys, a Sweet 16, even a win in the NCAA tournament is not a possibility.
No, completely agree. 1013 with Berkay Buitengel out. What happens if Price Sanford leaves? Would not count on Price Sanford leaving. I think he's pretty dang close to. There's never a guarantee, but I think Price Sanford's back in Lincoln next year.
From when Hoiberg was talking about, you were there at the media scrum, it sounded like Price was coming back. Obviously, there's the NBA. Like I said, it only takes one team to like you, but who knows? Like, he can come back and potentially improve and get better. Like, this was just 35 games of Price Sanford.
Yeah,
there could be another 35,
maybe more. Maybe the last 7 to 10 hampered with the sports hernia injury potentially as well. 16:27. Then we'll go to break. Nick Janowski coming back here. I would not plan on that. And can Nebraska get Olivier Roux from Florida? Would also not plan on that, nor do I think that would be a fit. I think he's a little bit more of a novelty maybe than even like a Taco Fall, and certainly more of a novelty than, say, a Daimara and Zach Edey. So, yeah, Nebraska could stand to get bigger, get longer, get stronger, but I don't think just getting the 7'9" guy would solve all those issues. Could just be me.
He's a sight to see, though. Like, I've seen him stand next to Tracy Wolfson and the
CBS
crew.
He
towers over everybody.
I
remember who they played in the first round. Who was the 16 seed? Oh my gosh, who was it? The 6-foot guy looking up to him like, oh my gosh,
wait up. What did I get myself into?
Wild times.
Wild times last night at Haymarket Park. Let's talk some Nebraska-Kansas baseball with Evan Blanda of the Omaha World Herald after this.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We're going to see a good amount of sunshine today with a high temperature right around 74 degrees, but a cold front is going to be moving through the region. The wind will pick up on the backside of that, and there's a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms south of town this afternoon. We'll be partly cloudy tonight with a low of 40, and then very good chances of rain the next couple of days with highs in the 60s. I'm meteorologist Aaron Downer for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC. And wow, what a great spring it has been here. We've had record sales happening at Koppel. And to show our appreciation, Koppel is giving out employee pricing on select new models. Yes, you heard that right. Employee pricing is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. So please stop on in the store and see the team or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Some rebates to dealer.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
A membership with John Henry's will fast-track you to front-of-the-line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
And electrical.
It seems like just the other day, I was building my first house. I've seen many changes to our building market in Lincoln. It's been a fun road.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
You know, we hear this a lot where I don't want to live in a cookie cutter home. Well, let's come up with some answers on what we're going to build, where we're going to build it, and what it's going to cost. One thing that we started doing early on was we started building neighborhoods. I'm a firm believer in character in your street and in your neighborhood. I like choice. I like variation. I like maybe something a little bit different in a neighborhood that you don't see in every neighborhood. I think it's great to have choices, its uniqueness, and I think that's what gives a neighborhood character. And I think that's what we've done over the years.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Zach Bryan with Heaven on Tour.
Poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you'll never come.
Saturday, April 25th, Memorial Stadium.
Wish I didn't, but I do.
With special guests, Kings of Leon and J.R. Carroll. Tickets are on sale now at ZachBryan.com. Don't miss Zach Bryan live. Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is Old School. Austin Norman with you here. We are headed to our Allo Fiber VIP line. Allo Fiber is where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Given that it is at 4:30 on a Wednesday, we welcome in Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Talk all things Husker baseball with us here. Evan, not so the worst night for a baseball game last night, but holy cow, would today maybe be a little bit better?
Yeah, today's a gorgeous day. Good day for practice, I suppose. But yeah, we'll take these good days any way we can get them in April.
Evan, my drive to work involves me taking I-180 south past Haymarket Park every day. And I was listening to a podcast, and over the din of the podcast, I thought I could still hear some echoes from the Kansas dugout last night. And as I look out my passenger side window, it might have been some steam coming out of the Nebraska dugout, residual from Will Bolt's ears with the way last night's game went. Take us through the scene at Hawks Field at Haymarket Park last night between Nebraska and Kansas.
Yeah, it was intense. It was there were a lot of emotions that went into it. And you could the game certainly lent itself to that, where Nebraska gets up early and then it's a tie game and Kansas goes ahead late. So it was, intense in that way. Nebraska's got a bunch of guys from the state of Kansas. And so I think there were a lot of, relationships previously as well. But then you had a few key moments in the game. There was the spot there in the sixth inning, I believe it was, when Nebraska gets a chance to break the tie, and Case Sanderson takes a full count high strike, and that was kind of the start of it. And then Will Bolt gets ejected in the ninth, between the top and the bottom of the ninth. The way that he explained it was that the home plate umpire was sort of gesturing in an animated fashion toward Grant Clevenger, the pitcher on the mound, and was not stopping Kansas from what Will Bolt called bench jockeying, or coming over the dugout railing onto the field too much and celebrating maybe in a extra exuberant sort of way. So he felt like that the game wasn't under control at all times from the officials, and he let the umpire have it. He was probably fortunate, quite honestly, to still be in the game in the ninth when he got tossed. But it all added up, I think, to just how much both sides wanted it. I mean, Kansas brought in their guy who's been their Friday night starter to get the last to cover the last three innings. So Kansas clearly wanted to win that game as much as Nebraska did, and ultimately it just came down to a really high quality midweek game with some emotions involved.
Yeah, Bodie Raw comes into those three innings, 9 batters faced, a 3 up, 3 down across the 7th, 8th, and 9th, 4 strikeouts and 5 groundouts. No serious threats from Nebraska there late in that one. Evan, obviously, the 6th inning, there's still plenty of time, probably not banking on facing a Friday guy. Did Nebraska's approach change at all in those last 3 innings to where they got away from what at least had runners on base there from the 6th inning and earlier, or what led to that Case Sanderson strikeout really feeling like that turning point in being Nebraska's last chance?
Yeah, I mean, that was just one of those big moments where Nebraska had the chance to go ahead, and then, Kansas follows it right up where they get their own bases loaded opportunity and 2 strikes, and their guy, dumps a 2-run single down the right field line. So I think it was those two things sort of in tandem where you felt like, Nebraska missed its chance, Kansas cashed in. And then they said, we're not going to mess around with this thing. We're going to bring in a guy that we trust to finish it off. And you look at Kansas's bullpen and their situation, that's been a weak point for them this year. So I think they just felt like they couldn't trust some of those arms deeper down the list there. And for what it's worth, Kansas is playing UCF, which is the Big 12 leader this weekend. So it's not like they don't have anything to play for or look ahead to. So I think it was those two things. And, that was probably the one regret Will Bolt talked about after the game was he just felt like maybe emotionally they weren't able to respond when those two sequences didn't go their way. And it really just felt like Kansas had that thing on lockdown, after that point.
Gavin Blackowitz threw pretty well for Nebraska, at least looking at the line score, 4 hits and 1 run with 2 walks, 4 strikeouts against the 20 batters faced in those 5 innings on 70 pitches. Pretty darn efficient night for him. Then the bullpen doors swung open in a really mixed bag. I know you wrote about both bullpens in your preview, Evan. Who looked good and who maybe struggled a little bit for the Nebraska bullpen, not being able to pick Gavin Blackowitz up where he left off?
Well, yeah, you gave part of it away there. I mean, Ryan Harrihill, he comes in, and that was a rough spot. I mean, I think it was an 11-pitch walk that he issued to one of Kansas's best batters. That could have gone either way, and then they followed up with a couple doubles to right. And so that was, Harrihill's had a good season to this point. That was probably his worst appearance of the year in 3 batters. But, Kansas took advantage. And then, you had moments too. I thought Braxton Stewart was good. He came in after Harrihill and calmed things down a little bit. Jalen Worthley was probably their highlight with what he did in I think it was the 8th inning to finish things out. He was someone who wanted the ball. Grant Clevenger had a good outing. So those are 2 left-handers that are going to be important for what Nebraska does moving forward. They don't have a lefty in their starting rotation. Blackowitz isn't a lefty. So if you're going to give teams a different look, you need those guys coming out of the pen. So Worthley and Clevenger were good in that way. Caleb Clark, a little bit more wobbly. But, again, Kansas is a good offense. And, the thing that marks them is they are sort of a major league style offense where they're going to work counts. They're going to strike out some, but they're going to hit for power. So that was a good challenge for Nebraska. And I thought, the emotional piece was probably well timed with them going to Oregon this week. And then you've got USC coming in next week, Creighton as well. I think this team needed sort of a kind of a fire lit under it a little bit just to kind of get a little irked. And this game certainly did that. And we'll see what that does moving forward. But, again, I think what it was interesting to me that the players and Will Bolt all sort of reminded after the game how many times they've been fortunate to rally in situations like this. And on this particular occasion against another red-hot Midwest club, it just didn't happen.
We're talking with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald about Husker baseball on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. You mentioned that emotional challenge, Evan, and the way Nebraska's been handling business in terms of the results and wins and losses. Nebraska's been really good recently. Obviously, Kansas has as well. Seems to me like this was a game that probably helps Kansas a lot more than it hurts Nebraska in the RPI and whatnot. But despite the wins, when you say Nebraska maybe needed this emotional challenge, were you getting a sense that this is a team that was maybe just winning because they were more talented than other teams and needed to face a team with a similar talent level and face an emotional challenge because Nebraska was just kind of cruising on talent? Or is this more, hey, the fire's still burning, but it's just naturally time to maybe add another log to the fire?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think baseball, just by the nature of the sport, you play so many games. You have to find a way to not. You don't want to get too up and down emotionally from one game to the next because that's how things snowball, and it's a game of failure and all these things. So you need to keep things in check. But I think sometimes you just have those moments that just remind you, hey, it's not numbers on a spreadsheet. It's not just trust the process. There are going to be these moments where you need to rise to the occasion. And I think you look at the schedule that Nebraska's played for the most part, until Kansas came to Haymarket Park, there hasn't been a team that's come to Lincoln with a winning record yet. They've been beating up on some bad teams and they've been finding ways to win. But this was a different challenge where, okay, instead of playing at a high level and beating a team that you should beat, how do you rise to the moment against your equal essentially on the other side and all the back and forth punch, counter punch moments that go with that. And, Nebraska landed that first blow and they took the lead and had a couple opportunities to make it bigger. They got into the Kansas bullpen. That was an important, I think, part of what they were trying to do in that game. And then Kansas punch back. So I think, they just learned a little bit about themselves, just in terms of how you respond in the heat of the moment. What's your foundation when things don't go your way? I mean, they've only lost 2 games in the last, 5 or 6 weeks now. So just sort of an opportunity to, kind of reset, double down on what they're doing. And now you take that into this next stretch where Oregon, Creighton, Kansas State in the midweeks, USC, like all those are your equals as well. And so I think this was a first sort of preview as to how they're going to handle some of these key games coming up.
You mentioned Nebraska headed out to Oregon. That'll be a 7:00 Central first pitch coming up in just 2 days on Friday. Ty Horton getting the ball for Nebraska on Friday. What does Nebraska need from him to help carry that fire over all the way from Lincoln to Eugene?
I think the thing with him has been length. Like, you just need your Friday guy, and this is true of any top college baseball program. Like, you want your Friday guy to give you a quality start, give you 6 innings, 3 earned or fewer if you can, and then you turn it over to the bullpen late. And I think there have been some stretches where it just hasn't been the case. Maybe he's walked a few guys or had some long ABs, and so he's done by 5, or he had a poor start by his standards against Penn State last weekend, and that's sort of that. When your Friday guy does that affects your bullpen for the rest of the weekend. If you're having to use, like in last weekend's case, Tucker Timmerman and Jay Sean Unger on Friday, then you're not able to obviously use them Saturday most likely, and then you can maybe bring them back Sunday, but it just affects how you're able to use things. So I think if he can go 6 against an Oregon offense that is not last year's Oregon offense, this offense is a little younger, not quite as much scoring potential maybe as what last year's is, then that I think gives you sets you up well if you're Nebraska, to where you can turn it over to some of your top arms late. And we've seen with Horn, like when he steps into a big moment, like, it looks really good. You think about that UCLA game last year for the Big Ten tournament title, like his ceiling is incredibly high. I think sometimes he's just wired in such a way that, like, he relishes those big moments. So I think it'll be really fascinating to see him in this key spot against another ranked team, how he fares out there on the West Coast.
Oregon in action tonight. They are taking on Portland, at Portland, actually, here in their midweek game this week. How much of a measuring stick weekend is this, Evan? Because Nebraska is ranked ahead of Oregon in most or all of the rankings. They're 3 games up in terms of the conference standings. But this is a really consistent regionals and even, occasional super regionals program in Oregon. Like, they're not at UCLA's level, headlined by Rock Chalowski, of course. But how big of a measuring stick is this first weekend in this stretch for Nebraska?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you look at what Nebraska's goals are right now. Right now, they're, I think, 2.5 games clear of 3rd place, and they're also 2.5 games behind UCLA at the top of the standings. So, a weekend like this, you can really solidify your spot near the top of the standings. You look at the conference tournament, you want to be top 4, so you can jump right into that single elimination round. And so this is a weekend where you can do that. And then certainly they're still in that conversation to host a regional. And really it depends on how this weekend goes and the USC series goes. I think if you win both of those, then the next, month or so after that becomes, hey, keep taking care of business, and you're going to be right there. If you split, maybe you win a series against Oregon or USC and you drop the other one, then you probably need to still finish hot. And if you lose both series, then I think you're squarely looking at an at-large sort of selection and trying to solidify that. So there are many series yet to come against Big Ten schools where Nebraska won't have a ton to gain this week, and USC next week with the RPIs that they have. This is their opportunity to make a national statement and stay in that mix to potentially have games at Haymarket Park through the end of May and into June.
Little local flavor on that Oregon roster. Michael Mechna, Elkhorn South guy there. He's made 13 appearances for the Ducks out of the bullpen in 17 innings. What is different about this Oregon team? You said the offense maybe not quite the same ceiling. What's similar about this Oregon team, and maybe what's changed from the super regional appearances?
Yeah, last year's team for them was loaded. They lost a lot to the draft. their offense isn't quite as good. In terms of, slugging, they still have pretty strong numbers, but just overall, they don't bash the baseball maybe to the level they did before. Their defense is a little better than it was last year, and their pitching has been right near the top as well. So it's really kind of a pitching and defense sort of operation. You look at their strength of schedule, similar to Nebraska. They're not immune to dropping their midweeks. They lost to Portland last week, and then, like you mentioned, they're playing them again tonight. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I think it's similar in a lot of ways to Nebraska in the sense that they prioritize baseball, they recruit athletes, they value versatility in all three facets of the game, and they produce a decent amount of pro talent too. So, their crowds out there aren't what Haymarket Park would draw. I mean, they're typically drawing like 2,000 people a game. So it's not, I don't think, an intimidating atmosphere the way it might be if you're going to an SEC Power or something like that. So should be fun. They've only met once ever, and that was in that Big Ten tournament last year. So first chance in a traditional regular season sort of series to see how that goes. I think it'll be pretty entertaining.
Top 25 matchup between Nebraska and Oregon on tap, covering it all for the Omaha World Herald. Evan Bland with us here on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. Give Evan a follow on Twitter. Of course, subscribe to the World Herald at omaha.com to read all of that. And we'll have Evan back on at 4:30 next week to discuss that series and the Creighton game that will have happened between now and then. Evan, as always, appreciate the chance to chat. Have a good rest of your week, my man.
Thanks, Austin. Yep, see ya.
Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald, with us on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. Aloe Fiber, the official internet provider of the Huskers. You can learn more. Just search Aloe Fiber. They'll hook you up. They've done a great stuff for me and my family. I've never had any issues since moving into my house now, 4-ish years ago, 3+ years ago. I've been an Aloe customer the whole time. They have done incredible work. Never had any issues with my internet. I can promise that you won't either. Big thanks to Evan for hopping on the show. We will wrap up hour 2 of Old School momentarily.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to power your progress, so you can give everything you've got, all for just 1 cent down. Whether you want to get the most out of our best-in-class equipment or go all in with free fitness training, our trainers are ready to help you get stronger than ever before. Take your workout to the next level at Planet Fitness. Join the club today for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th. You ready? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Have you been looking for home technology upgrades but don't know where to turn? Online information can be contradicting and confusing. Lincoln's own experts at Diode Technologies can turn your living room into the place to watch your favorite sports. Whatever your vision is, Diode Tech is ready to make it a reality. From home theaters to outdoor entertainment spaces, they bring you along through the entire process to make sure you get exactly what you want. If you're ready to upgrade your entertainment space, visit Diode Tech online at diodetech.net or give them a call at 402-793-5124.
A membership with John Henry's will fast track you to front of the line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
And electrical.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes! Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Seems like just the other day, I was building my first house. I've seen many changes to our building market in Lincoln. It's been a fun road.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
You know, we hear this a lot where I don't want to live in a cookie cutter home. Well, let's come up with some answers on what we're going to build, where we're going to build it, and what it's going to cost. One thing that we started doing early on was we started building neighborhoods. I'm a firm believer in character in your street and in your neighborhood. I like choice. I like variation. I like maybe something a little bit different in a neighborhood that you don't see in every neighborhood. I think it's great to have choices, its uniqueness, and I think that's what gives a neighborhood character. And I think that's what we've done over the years.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
MHC isn't a new company, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can handle your commercial moves as well. MHC Moving has 0 hidden fees. You'll never pay for same-day booking or be charged for stairs, heavy items, or elevator fees. Rates are the same Monday through Saturday, and you will never pay a truck or fuel surcharge. And they offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into this Old School, putting a bow on hour 2 of the proceedings. Old School brought to you, as always, by Graham Tire Company. They are celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. More than just tires, they do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Graham Tire, getting you to the places that matter most. 402-464-5685. Be a part of the show throughout the rest of the show, next hour and 5 minutes officially here before we turn things over to Ticket Weeknights. Before we get out of here and change topics, I want to shout out again Robin Washer for this write-up here on Husker Online. Some names that Nebraska has been confirmed to be in contact with, or at least targeting, were put in Robin's piece on Husker Online. You start with Trayson Anderson from North Dakota State, obviously a guy with plenty of ties back here to Lincoln. Trayson Anderson, a Pius X graduate. So Nebraska is confirmed to be interested in him. And I'm sure there's quite the list of suitors for a guy that averaged 10, 5, and about 1 assist per game for North Dakota State last year. 50% shooting overall, 36% from 3, and 66% from the free throw line. Spent 2 years up there in Fargo, started 19 of the 35 games that he played in last year, and all that was done in 18 minutes per game. Another name that Robin ended up putting in his piece, Drew Fielder, Boise State guy who started his career at Georgetown. He's from Boise, Idaho, so he went back home and played for Boise State. He enters the transfer portal. That is a 6'10 forward, averaged 15, 6, and 1 last year on 41% shooting from 3, 78% of the free throw line. And Drew Fielder did that on just about 3 attempts per game from long range. For his career, he is about a 35.5% shooter from 3 with that 40% mark as a freshman at Georgetown, then another 40% mark last year at Boise State. The other name Robin throws in there for the front court, just the front court here, is Sam Ormy, not Orman, but an all Missouri Valley Conference performer last year, all freshman team 2 years ago. 6'8" forward out of Indiana from Belmont. Played there for the Bruins. Averaged 12, 5, and 2 last year across 29 games. He started 28 of them, 26 minutes per game. Another sniper, shot 37.5% from 3 as a freshman in the Mo Valley, and then shot a cool 39.7% from long range last year. Again, standing at 6'8", pretty traditional forward body type. 402-464-5685 is our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Eric says, signing off for the day. All right, you better be back here on the dot at 3 o'clock, Eric. And 9174 says, I miss Bear Cape Buchan Gel already. Yeah, I would love to know what those internal conversations were like, how they were received, what the negotiations were like. But seems all but final that Bear Cape Buchan Gel has put on the scarlet and cream for the last time. We're going to get to this in the first hour, but it's going to make a great long segment here to start our third hour. The NCAA is close to, maybe not approving, but close to bringing to the forefront a proposal that you have 5 years of eligibility on a clock. An age limit could be coming to college sports. Let's talk about that to lead off hour 3 of Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Do you ever feel okay in your current job and profession, but wonder if there's a better company that can offer more? Vision Mechanical is now hiring for journeyman plumbers and HVAC service technicians. Vision Mechanical offers top-of-the-industry wages, 100% paid health, disability, and life insurance, 401k with employee match, and paid holidays and vacation. Vision Mechanical believes in craftsmanship, teamwork, and building a better future one project at a time. Apply today or learn more at visionmechanical.net or email Ron at vmech.net.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
A membership with John Henry's will fast track you to front of the line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems.
Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating
and Electrical.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to power your progress, so you can give everything you've got, all for just 1 cent down. Whether you want to get the most out of our best-in-class equipment or go all in with free fitness training, our trainers are ready to help you get stronger than ever before. Take your workout to the next level at Planet Fitness. Join the club today for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th. You ready? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We're going to see a good amount of sunshine today with a high temperature right around 74 degrees, but a cold front is going to be moving through the region. The wind will pick up on the backside of that, and there's a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms south of town this afternoon. We'll be partly cloudy tonight with a low of 40, and then very good chances of rain the next couple of days with highs in the 60s. I'm meteorologist Aaron Downer for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Spring is here, and it's time to wake up Judson. Judson Irrigation is eager and ready to get your sprinkler system up and running for the season. Judson's technicians will check for winter damage, adjust your sprinkler heads, and show you how to set your controller for effective sprinkling coverage. The Judson Irrigation team is here for you. Stay safe.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC. And wow, what a great spring it has been here. We've had record sales happening at Koppel. And to show our appreciation, Koppel is giving out employee pricing on select new models. Yes, you heard that right. Employee pricing is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. So please stop on in the store and see the team or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Some rebates to dealer.
93.7 The Ticket Sports News go now.
This is Nick Wyman with your sports update. Husker forward Burke Buchengel entered the transfer portal. Buchengel made 61 starts across 64 games over 2 seasons with the Cornhuskers. This season, he averaged 6.5 points, 5.6 rebounds per game, and led Nebraska with 34 total block shots. On Tuesday night at Haymarket Park in Lincoln, the Nebraska baseball team suffered its first loss at home as the Cornhuskers dropped a 5-3 ball game to the Kansas Jayhawks. With the loss, Nebraska sits at 26-7 overall on the season and heads to Eugene to take on the Oregon Ducks. The 3-game set against Oregon begins on Friday with first pitch between the Ducks and Cornhuskers set for 7 p.m. Central Time and can be seen on BTN+. To cap off a 3-game series, the Kansas City Royals fell to the Cleveland Guardians by a score of 10-2. Bobby Witt Jr. recorded his first extra base hit in the loss, and starting pitcher Cole Reagans left the game in the first inning due to a left thumb contusion. The Royals return to Kansas City on Thursday to begin a 4-game series against the Chicago White Sox, with first pitch on Thursday scheduled for 6:40 Central Time. And for all the latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here at 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts, answer the call one more time. And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln. Your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yes, it is. Welcome back in to Old School, sponsored by the good folks over at Graham Tire Company. I am Austin Orman, and as Yogi Berra would say, it really truly is deja vu all over again. Feels like I just had this day yesterday. Nick Wyman for 1 hour, then Harrison Arns with me for another hour. Harrison, welcome back to Old School, my friend.
I know. It's like I'm a regular at this point in time.
The people clamor for more Harrison.
Is that what the text line's been saying?
People are saying, get this scrub on the board out of here. We want more of that guy.
Well, fantastic. It's an honor. I figured they get tired of me after 6 straight hours after starting at 6 o'clock. But no, always a pleasure. Love being here, especially when the sunlight's still out. Speaking of Graham Tire, though, I do see a few cars out there. Go get your tires checked. It's that time of year, dude. Well, the weather's nice because
were you around for the road rage incident yesterday?
Maybe. I don't think I was.
I wasn't sure what it was. Someone said road rage. I wasn't out there to confirm, but right there, that stoplight, there was like early 2000s pickup truck, and then I don't know, probably mid 2010s sedan.
That's about the cars I'd expect in a road rage incident. No offense.
Right?
I got an 07, but
no, I get you. And all of a sudden, you just see this dude just like walking in the middle of the street, and I wasn't sure what it was at first. I thought, is he like panhandling? He didn't look to be in like bad shape, but why is he walking up to that truck and now he's walking up to this car? Oh wait, he's getting in that car. Oh, he's the driver of that car. What? So dude, that happened 50 feet away from us yesterday.
It's crazy. Just be smart out there. I've had my fair share of. I usually try not to partake in the road rage, but I've had my share, and it never goes well. I'll never forget the one time this guy, old man, was like crosswalking, and it was on the one way. Car's going 35 miles an hour. We have to hit the brakes. So, I do the opposite of give a thumbs up. Maybe should have controlled myself a little better. I get to the stoplight. That same guy comes up to me with his umbrella, pounds on the glass with the tip of his umbrella, trying to break my window.
Like taking actual swings?
Yeah, like hard spear pokes that with his umbrella. Luckily the light turned green. I got the hell out of there. But just be aware, small things can bubble up in ways you don't expect. So just try to be smart out there.
Speaking of get the heck out of there, I want 26-year-olds out of college athletics.
I've talked about this before, and it's kind of crazy that we'll get into it, but it seems like a real possibility. I've always kind of flirted with the idea of an age limit. And it seems like that's a possibility.
Same wavelength, my man. We have talked about this a couple times here on this program. I know you've talked about it on weeknights. It just makes too much sense. And sounds like there's at least some momentum behind this. Ross Dellinger's done a lot of great work for Yahoo Sports. Says the NCAA is considering a significant change to its eligibility rules. An NCAA committee next week is expected to explore a new age-based standard for athlete eligibility as part of a proposal that's been in the works for weeks, but only recently has been socialized with high-level conference and school administrators. Okay, thank goodness. Been beating this drum for a while now. Glad to see someone is at least taking it seriously. They listen to 93.7 The Ticket. Good job.
And perhaps an executive order might have nudged them a little bit as well.
Or what this sounds like is that this was in the works at least alongside that, if not even before. And then it just showed up in the executive order. So maybe it was, we know this is coming, you're working on it, we'll slide it in. Because it sounds like this has been discussed in some form or fashion.
Yes, 100%.
So I like to hear that. And again, we'll dive into the details here as we continue. But just first blush, Starter Heyman Jewelers text line 402-464-5685. First blush, age limit, yes or no, positive or negative, good or bad for college athletics, 402-464-5685. Ross Dellinger continues on Yahoo Sports. According to the concept, NCAA athletes would have 5 full years of eligibility from the time of their 19th birthday or their high school graduation, whichever is earliest. No waiver requests, red shirts, or exceptions will be permitted except for a small group of outliers, those on maternity leave, military service, or religious missions. Members of the D1 cabinet are set to review the proposal. They're meeting next week. While a timeline for approval remains unclear, it is likely weeks or months away. The legislation is considered an urgent matter with potential for implementation as soon as this coming academic year. Let's break this down piece by piece. First big change, Harrison, 5 full years of eligibility. Not just 5 years to play for with a red shirt, 5 years that you can be on the floor. First and foremost, we need a title for that 5th year. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. What's above that? I just feel lame calling them a 5th year. Or a first year and then freshman. Like,
I mean, it's going to be dubbed like super seniors or along the lines of victory lap players, like whatever you want to call them.
Victory lap players. Heck yes. Okay, I'm in.
But yeah, I think you need a dub a name for it. But, I just don't have a whole lot of negatives to write along about this. Like, I'll be totally honest. Like, we've all kind of been sitting here looking at players and we're like, what's the average age of that Auburn team in the March Madness? 24? What's the average age of OKC? Or I think it was 23 and OKC's average age was
barely
like 24.
Yeah.
And you're just looking around like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. And you go, obviously, the older teams are going to typically beat up on younger teams. And
what's grown man strength?
Well, it's in basketball, and then when you get into certain sports like wrestling and football, it's like we're talking some significant differences that no amount of work's going to prepare you for. Like, you're wrestling or you're playing football against a grown man, and you're a 19-year-old. Like, at a certain point, it has to make sense. My whole thing is like, it's unfortunate injuries happen. Not everyone gets to draw the best cards, and you're still at a university that's supposed to give you more options than just going pro in whatever sport you're playing in. So there's going to be some sad cases as a result if you stick with this rule. But again, like, not everyone gets the golden card where you get a million chances. Like, it just doesn't work out for everybody, and that's the rarity of being able to play in pro sports. But at a certain time, you got to hang it up. I just, it's the reality of sports. You can't just extend it. And it's like, well, I was injured, but I'm healthy now, so I know I'm only 29 years old. Or we had, I think it was McCormick down there for Miami football. I think he might have been 28 years old. Like, we've had
9th year of eligibility,
some insane stories. Yeah, and like, you can rationalize those cases as much as you want, but a majority of people just kind of roll your eyes and it's like, I get it. I would do the same if I was in your boots because you can make money, but this just isn't fair.
Next section of this, 5 to play 5 from the time of their 19th birthday or their high school graduation, whichever is earliest. Okay, so hypothetically, that's a 19-year-old to a 24-year-old, give or take. You have some kids that, like say Cooper Flagg, right, who reclassified. He was young. He didn't turn 18 until December of what became his freshman year. Cooper Flagg, in this hypothetical example, could have played from age 17 to age 22 in college. Again, just a purely hypothetical example. In my case, right, I graduated high school at 17, but I was 18 by the time I got to college. So I assume I would have had until I was 22 because it starts whichever is earliest.
Yes.
Now, whichever is latest, whichever is earliest. And then we get to this, which I think is such an interesting point. So John Givney, who's an ESPN, former ESPN draft guy with a Draft Express, now that's his company, he says that part of the rule has big implications, not just for international players, right? Think about these guys that have played at their high-level club team for a couple of years and come over and are freshmen at 21 or 22. But think about your Texas quarterback redshirt or your Florida quarterback redshirt or your California quarterback redshirt.
Well, think about all the Australian kickers.
All the Australian kickers, all that stuff.
That's a unique situation right there because we've already seen it, the influx of, and again, why wouldn't you do it? You can get 25-year-olds that are just bombing kids because they're adults. They've been doing it for a while. That's their whole thing. But that's obviously gonna, I've talked about it before, but all the high school special teams players, like the kickers and specialists that kind of got shooed away there, like this will certainly help that. And there's a lot of those unique situations, especially when you go overseas and you see these guys coming into the leagues.
Right. Givney says many U.S. families are now reclassing down in 9th grade to arrive at college later, often after an extra prep year. 8th grade being the best 3 years of your life or whatever the joke would be. Several American freshmen this year turned 20 before playing a college game. It would have huge downstream effects. Think about, I've never been on board with that. I've honestly thought that's kind of lame. I understand it. It probably does give your son or daughter the best chance to be successful at that point. But I think it also lowers the margin for error then to the next level. Are you sure you're going to be more prepared because you took an extra prep year? Yeah, you're physically bigger, but that's an extra year older that you are before you get into a college system. And I'm sorry. I go back to an example in journalism college. I'm sitting in mass media ethics there And I forget the exact discussion. It was something about like Malcolm Gladwell and the 10,000 hours or whatever. And one of the teacher called this kid up there. I think he was a hockey player growing up or whatever. And he was saying something to the effect of, yeah, when I was the youngest in my age group, if we're playing up, if I'm an 11-year-old playing in U12s, I always struggled, but then when I got to be 12 in the U12, my teams were always really good. On the one hand, some of that's natural, right? But also you're 11 and 12. There's not always a big difference there. And my biggest thing is, if you're good, you're good. Sure, you'll take your lumps if you're smaller, if you're not as fast. But there's some value in playing up to learn how to succeed. And if you're actually good, and I mean actually good, the age and the size will matter so much less because you'll be creative. You'll have problem-solving skills to be able to find ways to be successful. If you're only good when you're the oldest, if you're only good when you're the biggest, fastest, strongest, I'm sorry, you might not be as good as you think you are. And I'm sorry if that's a blow to your ego, but I don't care. I also, to some extent, we'll loop a Nebraska example in here.
Okay.
And, I think a lot of Husker fans out there appreciate what Rink Mass did for Nebraska on the court and what he meant to Nebraska off the court.
100%.
That's a guy who was in college for like 7 years, right?
Yep, because just 1 year at Bradley?
2 years at Bradley.
2 years at Bradley.
Yep. And then Nebraska injury, Nebraska. So 5 years maybe, but I mean, he was 26 years old.
Yeah.
Grown enough man, entering his athletic prime.
Yeah.
Like, again, what does that really mean for a guy like Rink Mass coming off the knee surgery? We did see him throw down a hammer dunk against Iowa here in Lincoln. It was pretty cool and all that. But for as much good as Rink Mass did for Nebraska, for as much as I think Husker fans can appreciate him, I think it is better for the long-term health of college athletics to be a little bit more homogenized by age, right? I am not, saying to Rink Mass, who has all sorts of incredible professional prospects, whether it's in basketball or his chosen field,
right?
One of the smartest dudes you're going to talk to. There's a reason he became the face of Nebraska's program, but it's better for college sports if I think guys like that age out. You have 5 to play 5. Man, it would really suck to have had Rink Mass's final year taken away by injury.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, them's the breaks. Clearly, Nebraska was better with Rink Mass, but heaven forbid we make coaches develop other players. Heaven forbid we tell people, hey, sorry, wasn't in the cards for you. Move on. Again, that's nothing against Rink Mass, the person. The Husker basketball fan in me really appreciative that Rink Mass was willing and able to stick around and play.
Because he was wearing the
Absolutely. It meant enough to him that he came back. And
Minnesota team, I'd be like, get that guy out of college. Like, how's he still in the league?
The Percy Ellises or whatever from Kansas and Perry Ellis, not Percy Ellis. Sorry, Perry Ellis. But maybe I did mean the disrespect if you were around forever. Keep going up and down through the list. I think it's long-term better for college sports. I think it would start to feel more like college sports too when you don't have to worry about as many quote-unquote grown men. 24 is still old. I still think in my heart of hearts, college is 18 to 22 or 19 to 23.
Yeah.
But you can convince me that 19 to 24 is at least within the realm of possibility. Anything beyond that, if it's about opportunity, it's a zero-sum game. Mm-hmm. For every opportunity you give to a 25, 26, 27-year-old, you take one away from a 17, 18, 19-year-old. If we want college to feel like the middle ground, even in just some small way, again, between high school and the pros, I think an age limit goes a long way to making college sports feel more collegiate again.
There's a lot of things that go into it that make it feel more collegiate as well. And, where it started out too, with a lot of these rules that were happening and kind of freeing these players up to move around and give them all these extra years, like the idea behind it was, you could say it was stoic. Like we want to protect the athletes. We want to give these guys the best possible opportunity. And, sometimes things happen and we feel it's unfair. So we want to give them opportunities to make up for, whatever unfortunate event might have happened. But in all these conversations, no one ever said, hey, what about the high school kids? And that's kind of always been my problem is that you are totally taking away opportunities from the high school kids, trying to protect the current college athletes. And it's like, you might be doing it from a good heart or you're doing it just in a place because you want to win more ball games.
It's a zero-sum game.
Exactly. And those guys just kind of constantly get forgotten. And, who knows how many people got overlooked because you just go into the portal and go get yourself 24, 5, 6-year-old And it's also, to your point, I think one of the best things about it, it makes coaches, even if they have a big bankroll, you still got to develop. Like, you're going to be losing guys. And yeah, you're going to be able to pluck from the portal. Of course, you'll be able to pluck kids from the portal. But you're also going to have situations to where you can't go grab your 26-year-old and just pay him a ton of money and get him on your roster. There's going to be teams that are going to live through the portal, and that's always going to be a part of it until we see maybe radical changes on that. Transfer limit as well. I think that's been discussed as well within some of those proposals. But at least you do kind of eliminate some of those situations where I think these coaches, even if they got big bankrolls, like that development's going to mean a little bit more because you're going to have ticking clocks on these kids, and you can always go to the portal and just find replacements. But if you got a guy in the house, and again, you have the clocks in front of you, you're going to have, I'd imagine, a little bit more eyes on how's the development track going for these guys. And there's going to be schools, of course, that are going to live in the portal. But, for certain schools like Nebraska, like, obviously we're not up there with the big spenders. We're really going to hone in on development. Obviously, Fred Hoiberg's kind of been taking care of that already. But, that's a ripple effect that I think certainly only helps the sport. And, it's not a secret that I think a lot of fans have seen this trend, and they're not big fans of super old players still playing at their college universities or multiple of college universities.
I think an age limit is a much better idea than transfer restrictions. That's where I'm at with it, for a bunch of reasons that we can continue to get into. In fact, let's go ahead and take a break at this point, because I think there are two more aspects of this that we can get into in the next segment. The first aspect is the no waiver requests and the few carve-outs and exceptions. What do we think of that? And then the timing of implementation and how this could affect the 26-27 year, because I think that's a big topic as well. Keep your thoughts rolling in. Do you like the idea of an age limit in college athletics? 402-464-5685. We will take your thoughts, read your thoughts on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line next on Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Spring is here, and it's time to wake up Judson. Judson Irrigation is eager and ready to get your sprinkler system up and running for the season. Judson's technicians will check for winter damage, adjust your sprinkler heads, and show you how to set your controller for effective sprinkling coverage. The Judson Irrigation team is here for you. Stay safe.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Sandhills Global is growing right here in Lincoln. With our expanding campus and continued growth, we're hiring across a wide range of careers, from interns to experienced professionals. Join the team at Sandhills Global and build your career with competitive pay, great benefits, and real opportunities to grow. Visit sandhills.jobs to view openings and apply today. That's sandhills.jobs.
Are you looking for a fresh new hangout spot? Let me tell you about Liquid Asset Sports Bar, where Mondays mean new weekly drink and food features. With 23 taps, a full lineup of cans and bottles, and 40 TVs blasting every sports package out there, you'll never worry about missing a play. Savor high-end spirits at their stylish top-shelf bar, enjoy a healthy menu, family-friendly atmosphere, and catch all of your favorite teams every day. Doors open daily at 11 a.m. Liquid Asset Sports Bar, located at 2755 Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out, run it out, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Wow, I have never seen you work out this much.
Gotta get in shape. New game. Must play.
New game?
Yeah. Nebraska Lottery's new game. Millionaire for life. $1 million a year. For life.
Wow, that's incredible. I better get in shape too. Can I borrow those 5-pound weights when you're done?
Yeah, sure.
Play Millionaire for Life. Just $5 and drawings every day. Top prize odds 1 in 22 million.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas, and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing.
And electrical.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rolling right along through Old School, brought to you by Graham Tire. I'm Austin. He's Harrison. Appreciate all of you chiming in on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. We have 2 more aspects of this proposal that will be discussed in college sports before we get to our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. So keep your thoughts coming in. Got lots to get to there. So we'll get through this pretty quick. Continuing again from Ross Dellinger's piece on Yahoo Sports. The concept overall, for those who might have missed the first segment, NCAA athletes would have 5 full years of eligibility from the time of their 19th birthday or their high school graduation, whichever is earliest. Harrison and I talked about that last segment. 2 more parts to get to again before we get to your thoughts on this. First of all, Harrison, no waiver requests, no red shirts, or no exceptions outside of maternity leave for pregnant women, right, in college, military service, naval academies and what have you, religious missions, BYU. Okay, so what does that leave out? Injury. Essentially, tough luck. Sorry, them's the breaks. But you have an extra year already baked in because you get 5. No applying for medical hardship waivers or anything like that. If you get hurt, sorry, we don't love that for you. In fact, we hate it for you. But maybe it just wasn't in the cards for you. Your thoughts on the no waivers or no exceptions outside of maternity leave, military service, or religious missions?
Yeah, and I chuckled too, because religious missions, I like how that just sums up to BYU.
Yeah.
but I mean, essentially, no, I mean, again, this is where it's tough because you don't want to see him like just the guy with a cold heart, but I'm a big believer in like the cards are going to line up for people in different ways. And if you get injured, you have a year baked in, like that's kind of the year baked into it where it's like, all right, well, there's a year for you already. And again, we call them like victory lap players where you'll get that 5th year guaranteed in there. I'm okay with that. Honestly, am. I think it still makes sense, and we'll probably get to it later. Like if we're not going to limit kids on like transferring and things like that, to me, this is okay. You're gonna have years where it's gonna be that 5th year, that victory lap, quote unquote, player, and he's gonna have an injury, and your heart's gonna break for him. And that's just going to be the reality of it. And his career is going to come to an end. It doesn't mean, all of us in favor of this are going to just be happy. Like, obviously, no one wants to see that. But, it's a thing that happens. It can be pretty, I don't want to say it's rare, but having super significant injuries, it's just a part of sports. And it's not always fair. And back in the day, if you had a significant injury, it would really just tank your entire career. This is at least a system to where there's a little bit of benefit. There's a little bit that extra year where it's going to give you some time, hopefully, to get back in there. But yeah, again, you just go back to it's the reality of things. It doesn't mean it has to be the end of your career, but it could be a little bit tougher to make it to that next phase, depending on what that injury might be. But again, that doesn't mean it's the end for a lot of these athletes. I think that's the other thing. And it's like, well, their career is completely entirely over. Well, no, it's not the case. It'll be a tougher road to get healthy and then try to get back up, whether it's across the seas, whatever sport we're talking about. But again, you have to get to some hard lines here. We've lived so much in a gray area zone that not just
we're trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah. And it's not just for fans, but like coaches and all these universities, like this is a damn mess. So it had to be cleaned up sooner or later. And, rules aren't fun. The people that, usually don't have super fond, memories of people that are enforcing a ton of rules on you, but there's a reason for them. You have to have some sort of regulation within this. And if it gets us out of the gray area, I think most people will sign up for it.
I sure would. Before we dive full into our Starter Hamer Jewelers text line, I think there are 2 pretty good examples at Nebraska right now that illustrate this. Number one, 5086 says, Connor would be screwed, ? And I assume that's referring to Connor Esijan, who under this rule, no, would not be screwed. Played 2 years at Wisconsin, played a full year at Nebraska, 35 games with 3 starts, played the first 7 games of last season before getting injured. With 5 years to play 5, guess what? He still has that year remaining. And we'll get to why that factors in here in just a moment as well. Allison Widener, another example, right? Big culture piece, beloved in-state player, had some tough luck with injuries, right? Plays 33 games as a freshman with 9 starts, plays 13 as a sophomore before getting injured, sits out what would have been her traditional junior year, her 3rd year here on campus. And then the 24-25 season, so 2 seasons ago now, played 15 games with 3 starts before getting injured again. So Connor Esijan would have another year. Allison Widener would not. And again, love Allison Widener for the culture reasons, appreciate her grit, her tenacity in the rehab, the recovery process, love the in-state aspect of it. I'm sorry. Your career didn't go the way you wanted it to go. Your career didn't go the way Husker fans wanted it to go. Your career didn't go the way Amy Williams and the coaching staff wanted it to go. I'm sorry. You're going to be wildly successful in whatever you do because you're driven, because you've learned those skills in college. Sorry that you didn't get to play as much basketball as you wanted. Go dominate the Humphrey St. Francis alumni games. You know, is that what you envisioned? No. But part of college is growing up, dealing with adversity, learning how to handle new situations for the first time. And again, we can pick out all these individual, I don't want to call them pity parties or sob stories. That's not where I want to go, because I don't think Connor Esijan threw himself one. I don't think Allison Widener threw herself one. Obviously, Rank Mass worked pretty hard to get back for this last season, and that's underselling it with all the reporting there.
Right.
But sorry, it happens. The goal then is 4 for 40, right? Go to a place, go to a school that no matter what happens on the court, maybe that's what drew you there to begin with, the perks, the benefits, the privileges of being an athlete. But we forget that part of college too is supposed to help set you up for success in whatever comes next. Allison Widener's life is not over when she's done playing college basketball. Plain and simple. There's so much more out there for her to accomplish. And clearly she loves the game of basketball. She wouldn't still be on the roster. But sorry, for the greater good of college athletics, we have to have some of these sob stories where our heart breaks, but it's going to be better for the next wave on down the list. and it's going to be better for fans when things are simplified.
Yeah, and and back to the original point too, like with some of these sob stories, you have to remember if they're good enough, they will find their way into these big leagues, injury or not. Like, and this is where we got to remember, like some of these kids where, let's be honest, they're not set up to go to the pros, or maybe they're in a sport where that really is an option. Like they're in college for a reason. They're also getting a degree, a diploma. They got a bunch of mentors to help them go through life and figure out which direction they want to go. And a lot of athletes kind of have an idea on like, okay, is pro a realistic possibility for me? Not, is this something I want to try to do and maybe go overseas and test my luck? The players, and you see it in the NFL all the time, how many dudes like didn't go to Power 4 universities, and it was, sometimes they're even coming from like what the D2 school, where the hell they come out. If they're good enough, then a lot of times they'll figure out a way to go out there and get it done. So like when you enforce this rule, this isn't gonna, have a critical effect on all these players who, were gonna go to the pro, had an injury, and now their career is over because we implemented this rule. If they're good enough, teams will wait for the rehab to get done through the injuries, and they'll take some flyers. They'll see, okay, what does it look like after the injury? So, you always got to remember that too when you're looking at these quote unquote sob stories. Like if they're good enough, they're going to get another chance.
I accidentally switched over to the For Me tab, or the For You tab on Twitter, and I came across this retweet or quote tweet of the Dellinger piece. It's someone who's in some sort of leadership role up at Oregon State, or at least was. And she tweets, so we're just ignoring the student athletes who serve 2-year missions and start their collegiate careers at 21. Yeah, because maybe religion can be bigger than college. If you're the religious type, hypothetically, shouldn't that be on top of your list? And that's a higher calling than that. And maybe it's worth it to sacrifice, 2 years of your basketball career to go do your mission that your church calls you to do or whatever. I can see that one both ways. But I understand why it'd be in the initial carve-outs. And then I get to this part. Or the fact that abolishing medical waivers pressures kids to compete through injury. I think it does the opposite. I think it...
Got to reserve yourself.
Right. I think what it does is it would slow the pressure and would help you pump the brakes and, now I can take the rest of this year and focus on rehab to get back in as good as physical shape as possible. I mean, you and I have talked to the wrestlers, the stuff that they push through. They're not sitting out because that's just the culture of that sport. But I think that this proposal where you have an extra year baked in, if you have one, fluke injury that you didn't have a big injury history, just kind of crap happens sort of things. Guess what? There's your redshirt year's already baked in for you. You don't have to apply. And then again, if another injury happens, whether it's complications from surgery, not a full rehab or recovery, or another fluke accident happens, again, truly from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry it did not go the way you planned. But you're not special. You're not the first person who's had more than one injury. You are not so special as to take away an opportunity from the next person coming up through the ranks. My heart breaks for you. I'm sorry it didn't go the way you wanted, but them's the breaks.
Well, and again, you're taking opportunities away from the high school kids. So if you want to try to be fair, you always have to remember, okay, who's gaining and who's losing. There's always the other side to it. And I feel like that's part of this entire conversation that got missed over and over and over again. And that's like, I want to watch bad things for the college athletes, but like you have to have hard lines because again, you're taking away opportunities and giving it another year to the 25, 24-year-old who's had unfortunate events. And we don't have to say it. Nobody wants that, of course, to happen. But, it's just the reality of things. And high school athletes, you need to keep that cycle going. And you've already seen it, maybe not super drastically, but in significant ways of some of these high school kids just aren't getting recruited the same way that they were used to because you just have players. And it really started with the COVID era, of course. And we're out of the COVID years, but we got into this gray area where you're still going court cases to fight for that extra year. You go through this again, you have the lines, you can put the timelines there. I just think the ripple effects, there's a lot more positives to gain. And really the only downsides to it are the occasional heartbreak stories that we'll get. But again, I think you and me both agree. And I'd imagine most of the text line agrees, like that's worth the sacrifice to get back to that norm. And again, it is not the end of that person's career, whether it's sports, if they're
it might be the end of their career, but it absolutely will not be the end of their future.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. And if they're good enough, they might end up still playing that sport because they're going to take the flyer. And if they're not, they probably had an idea already and they're ready to transition into whatever that next direction of life may be. But that's what college is for. It's the sports part is great, and you got to feel bad for those players that it happens. But again, like their life, their career, it's their future does not come to an end with an unfortunate injury. It just means you shut one door and you open up another.
That part. All right. 20 minutes left in the show. Sartor Human Jewelers text line is open. Let's open the floodgates and let's go here. Gino, I love it with those outliers. 6732. I think the 5-year plan outlined is a good thing for college sports. 2312 says I'm good with it with the military carve out. Think of a guy like Chris Weinke.
Yep.
Think of a guy like Brandon Whedon, right? Who went to play minor league baseball and then came back to play some college football. Big Bird, didn't Braden Frager reclassify? Yes, he did. But to reclassify, you need to graduate early, which is where it did some good work at times, but like the overtime elite, were they really working toward their GED? Or was it just a basketball finishing school, right? Did they technically graduate high school? I don't know. I'm sure some of them did, but it's the earliest date, so it shouldn't really matter. But let's say that you're in overtime elite till you're 19. Then it starts at 19. If you're an overtime elite and you go to college at 17, then you have 17 to 22. So it doesn't really matter, but I could see some people trying to make a big show of, something like that. 3203, don't forget that Rink Mass graduated from Bradley with a bachelor's degree and earned a master's degree in Lincoln. Yep.
Hell yeah.
7533, the NHL draft was studied years ago. The majority of players drafted had birthdays that made them 10 or 11 months older than the same kids they were playing against. Being bigger helps, but success at an early age helps too. Yeah, that's one of those kind of butterfly effect things that, on the one hand, again, I still think that across sports, the players that you think of as prodigies, right? The best of the best ones that have a chance to be the all-time greats are the ones that typically debut younger.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you think about, how young Mike Trout was when he debuted. You think about the stuff that Cooper Flagg did in college last year.
Cooper Flagg did it, LeBron did it, Kobe did it.
Kobe
like you
times.
go through like all the greats, they started pretty early and you had a good indication of what their trajectory looked like.
Right. And again, I am not there. So I can't knock anyone who makes it to the upper echelon of their sport. But I wonder how many of those players in the study that were drafted are the superstars. I don't know age-wise for the class or the draft class where like an Austin Matthews or a Connor McDavid or, Wayne Gretzky on down the list would have fallen, right? Were they older for their class or were they younger? Did they get into the professional game at a younger age because they were good enough? Because that to me is one of the truer signs of talent. Not to say that you can't have an all-time Hall of Fame level career if you enter the NBA at 24 instead of it at 18, almost 19. But if you're entering the NBA, playing a role, scoring double-digit points, and contributing, at least in some way, to a team's future at 18, those, more often than not, are the ones we see as inner circle Hall of Famers, multiple-time MVPs, right? And I think that's just a fact.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's not surprising with it. Like you're gonna have pretty obvious differences where the older guys are probably gonna do better. But again, I think we all see it, and you can go through the greats, and very rarely are you gonna see, the greats. Like I can't even use DeMar DeRozan because he was great when he was younger, but he like in the NBA he technically peaked at like 32 years old. But like for the most part, you have an idea. Like again, you're putting lines in the sand that are going to be able to have a nice system, a nice tunnel where these players, they walk through, you evaluate them. There's a clock on when you're evaluating them. And the guys that are great, they'll probably stick out early. And the guys that are role players, they might not be great until, their last year or that 5th year. And then they'll get drafted for being a little bit older and just having a better feel of the college game. But the odds of that player being a superstar in whatever pro sport probably aren't going to be as high. And that's just like common sense. And I don't think anybody would be super surprised when you look at the numbers, but then when you think about it, it checks out.
Here's the thing. The example I would throw out for the Royals is, Bobby Witt Jr. versus Whit Merrifield.
Yeah.
Whit Merrifield, really under the radar, grinder, dang good college player, hit a walk-off to win the College World Series, grinded his way through the minor leagues, was overlooked at every step, had a more than respectable career where he was, supposedly going to be the centerpiece of a pretty big trade. Really good player who contributed to winning. Not an all-time great, not a franchise legend. He's remember that guy. He was fun. People underrate him. Bobby Witt Jr. debuted younger because Bobby Witt Jr. is a better baseball player with a chance to be an inner circle Royals Hall of Famer and beyond. That's just the first example there that comes to mind for me to put a couple names to it. Colgan J, then we'll wrap us up for this segment. And again, keep your text coming 402-464-5685.
I don't think we've had anybody hate the idea yet.
Not
which
yet.
Which isn't surprising, but we'll wait and see.
If anyone is against the age limit, please do let us know and why. Colgan J says, I absolutely think there should be an age limit. And I also think you need to be enrolled in classes at the school to be able to participate in collegiate sports. The national championship game this year was a prime example of that being a major flaw in the system. I didn't hear anything about that players weren't enrolled in classes. I find that hard to believe.
They ought
now,
to be.
Maybe they're online classes. Maybe they're, quote unquote, paper classes that a certain school that wears a certain shade of light blue and fancies the Argyle pattern was notorious for back in the day with the paper classes, so.
Well, I mean, in a case like, is he referring to like, I know when Adrian Martinez, he finished up school and he was purely just playing football that last year here at Nebraska. And then just at Kansas State for a year as well. In a case like, I'd imagine he's saying like, you need to be enrolled in classes. Because then in that case, you wouldn't have Adrian Martinez.
Right.
And for that year at Nebraska or Kansas State. So I don't know if you can go through with that one.
And see, that would be interesting. Oh, Big Bird says, probably Carson Beck.
For
football,
okay.
not basketball. Okay. But see, there's a difference between not attending classes and not being enrolled in classes, right? If you're not enrolled in classes, I know you're in school to play school, you're in school to play football, but come on, you got to at least be taking classes. Even if you complete your major program, go pick up a spare minor.
Well,
right?
you would appreciate that.
Maybe?
I think that, I don't know if you can enforce that. If I was a parent, I would, obviously. Like, hey, dummy, like you're there, it's free. Go get another degree. Why the hell wouldn't you?
Right.
But, like I think as long as like they took care of their classes and they got the degree, you can't force them to go pick up another. And at that part, I understand it. Because, hey, some kids are like just load up and they take all the summer classes that they can to make, the in-season classes just a cakewalk. Or if they double down on the in-season, like they might wrap up early. And at that point, it's like, do you want to punish a kid for getting his school taken care of early and really staying on top of it? I don't want to get in that part.
Right.
Would it be smart of them to go get another degree? Absolutely. But of course, kids aren't always going to make the wisest decisions.
And Bellhound on YouTube says, nah, let the market decide who to pay. Amateurism is dead. Let's leave it at that. We'll come back to wrap up Old School after this.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Are you looking for a fresh new hangout spot? Let me tell you about Liquid Assets Sports Bar, where Mondays mean new weekly drink and food features. With 23 taps, a full lineup of cans and bottles, and 40 TVs blasting every sports package out there, you'll never worry about missing a play. Savor high-end spirits at their stylish top-shelf bar, enjoy a healthy menu, family-friendly atmosphere, and catch all of your favorite teams every day. Doors open daily at 11 a.m. Liquid Assets Sports Bar, located at 2755 Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Doren. God bless you.
Are you looking to find more fairways, hit more greens, and lower your scores? Then it's time for a custom fitting from a Shields certified master fitter. Learning from the world's top fitters at Titleist Performance Institute, Callaway Performance Center, and the Ping Proving Grounds, we have the tools and expertise to match the right clubs to your swing for a more consistent game. Elevate your play today. Visit shields.com/expert fitting to schedule your session.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing. Heating
and electrical.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We're going to see a good amount of sunshine today with a high temperature right around 74 degrees, but a cold front is going to be moving through the region. The wind will pick up on the backside of that, and there's a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms south of town this afternoon. Will be partly cloudy tonight with a low of 40, and then very good chances of rain the next couple of days with highs in the 60s. I'm meteorologist Aaron Downer for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Spring is the time of new beginnings and trying new things. If you haven't tried Führer's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For parties for St. Patrick's Day and Easter or celebrating the NCAA tournament with friends, there's no better dip to bring everyone together and celebrate something from Nebraska. Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome back in. Final segment of Old School Show brought to you by Graham Tire Company. Austin and Harrison with you for just a few more minutes before we turn things over to Ticket Weeknights. Interesting text from our Starter Human Jewelers text line. John says, this proposal should also end the guys who have already been in the NBA that didn't pan out to not be able to come back to college, right? You think of names like James Nagy that set off a big firestorm at Baylor, Charles Bediako over at Alabama, and there's another one potentially in the hopper. An Italian prospect by the name of Matteo Spagnuolo was taken number 50 overall in the NBA draft by the Timberwolves back in 2022. He's 23 years old now, spent last year over in Spain, has never played in an NBA game. He was in Liga ACB, averaging 8, 3, and 2 per game, essentially. If you're drafted, if you declared, whatever happens, sorry, you made your decision. Live with it. Maybe it's fine because they're within the age range. I don't like it. I assume this guy was cut by the Wolves and they don't retain his rights. Because if we get to that situation where a team drafts a guy and then like a draft and stash where they want him to go play somewhere and they want him to go play college stateside, then keep closer eyes, closer tabs, better contact, whatever. No, we can't be doing that. That's a great way to blur all sorts of crazy lines. But you declare for the NBA draft, if you get drafted and you're not good enough, or you run the risk of being a draft and stash pick that no one ever hears from again, you just work your draft rights into trades to make it work. I'm sorry. You made your choice. Live with the consequences of your actions.
Well, and you can go get, people got to understand too. It's like you can get evaluated.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, don't declare.
Don't declare.
If you love it, declare.
Right.
In a case like him, I'd imagine he got evaluated and it was like you're a work in progress. So situations like that is you got to figure out, like, the kids have the opportunity to go figure out, is this wise for me?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the thing, the best analogy I could use is like when you're growing up and you're running inside, outside, apparently your parents say, make a decision. Like when you close the door, you're inside or you're outside, and you got to be there for a while. The same thing applies here. Again, like they're not full grown adults, but they're at a point where they need to start making grown up decisions for themselves. And if they decide to get evaluated and declare, the key part is now they declared
and forego remaining eligibility,
you shut the door. Your decision. You're a grown adult. We'll see if it works out for you. End of story.
Indeed, we will. Justin from Hickman says, I'm not against it. Sounds great, but I feel like we're one high-profile athlete away on a team with the right amount of money and visibility from it being challenged in court. Hopefully, there are safeguards in the wording to protect it. Yeah, Justin, that's a great point. I agree. I hope it's worded correctly and fairly, right, to student athletes, to players, to coaches, and administrations. The only other part of this we haven't gotten to yet, Harrison, we're going to shoehorn this in the last couple minutes here. The timeline for approval, at the very least, weeks or months away. It's considered an urgent matter with potential for implementation as soon as this coming academic year, fall of 2026, per Yahoo Sports. What would that mean? They want this figured out so that those players that fit within that 5-year window, maybe they came over to college at age 18, they played 4 years. If this proposal passes soon enough, they would still have 1 year. But in terms of roster building, coaches and players want to know this as soon as possible. And I think it'd be better for fans to know this as soon as possible too. So this doesn't pass in, let's say, like September or whatever. And you have that 22-year-old that started, as an 18-year-old that played 4 years, all of a sudden on the eve of practice starting in October, trying to go to court to challenge for another year when the roster is already set. And then does someone get cut to bring this player back because they're still eligible? We could have a mess on our hands, even if this gets taken care of quickly.
Well, there's a few ways to do it, right? I didn't see anything written in there. The problem is you want it done as soon as possible, I would imagine. So, maybe you put an idea in there where it's like, okay, it won't hit. It'll actually hit quite a bit later. So get ready for it. But then, you want this done to kind of get out of this madness. You could try to grandfather certain people in there, but like, how do you grandfather that group's a little bit interesting, how you'd word that in there. So there's a few ways to do it. The biggest problem is like, needs kind of get done. So it's like, if you want to kind of push it back and like help these universities out, where it's like, okay, it won't hit until this point in time, you can kind of keep doing what you're doing. You won't have to mess up your plans too much. That's nice and all. But at the end of the day, like, we are at a point where we need to kind of get it done, and someone somewhere is going to have to take the hit. And it's not fair, but it's kind of the result of how it's been operating for so long.
Right. I mean, to the people that would lose what they thought they had in terms of eligibility, sorry that it happened to be you, but it had to be someone.
Yeah.
Because for every year that you were going to stay in college, that's, again, another year in the zero-sum game that you took away from someone just starting out.
Amen.
Life happens. I think we solved the world's problems. Now, if only the people that are in charge of implementing it can do it correctly.
Enough for an award. You can send it 1040 O Street.
1040 O Street, yes. AT Detention, Harrison Orange and Austin Norman. We will appreciate it in advance to whoever it is sending that award. Bright and shiny, please. I don't need big, don't need wide, but bright and shiny.
At the very least, a plaque.
Yeah, at the
I'll
very
take a
least,
placard.
right? Gilded, actual real gold, maybe some platinum sprinkled in there as well. Make that puppy worth it for solving all y'all's problems. For Harrison, I'm Austin. Thanks for tuning in to Old School. We'll talk to you tomorrow.